Oh, I guess we're going. All right. Welcome, Jeffrey Lee Contreras, to Magic Without Fears, this special in memoriam edition for our dearly departed friend. But we won't dive straight into that, I reckon, because you were going to tell me what are some of the secrets of the Illuminati that I might not have noticed that are like right in front of our eyes. And I just have to know that. And I think other people have to know.
Okay. Most people have an iron deficiency. So make sure you're getting some good iron. So once that's the foundation, once you can just build upon that. Got to stay healthy. One thing about Paul, he was a healthy guy. I mean, I'm almost positive using supplements, he gained an additional 3 hours a day.
How?
Nobody knows. That was part of his magic.
Like he had basically like he had access to a 27-hour day.
Exactly.
What did he? I guess he didn't sleep much.
No, he slept quite a bit. I mean, he was a
Okay.
good sleeper.
He
Kind of
just was more
kind of a
efficient
loud
than
snore
most
too,
people.
but you know, yeah, I think he just had the hustle. I mean, he had the hustle. He could do 11 things a day
Hmm.
and
Amazing.
often did.
Yeah, he was young when you met him, right? A teenager?
Let's see. I think he was in Texas for almost 17 years, so I probably knew him a good chunk of that, almost all of it actually.
No.
So yeah, for about 17 years.
Is it true he was as a kid he was of emo variety?
That's what I've heard. I
I
wasn't
was a
real.
goth kid. What kind of were you?
I was. Oh man, I guess I was ahead. I don't know because
What were heads?
like the heads. They're like the guys who like to smoke weed and
Yeah.
think about things.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I was in that clique, I guess. It was weird because all my classes I was taking were I was in the grade ahead of my normal grade, and so I didn't have a lot of classes with my friends, and so they always thought I was kind of a heady guy, and I got high a lot.
Hmm.
What about you? You were the nerd.
Yeah, well, I was like a mixture of goth and theater kid
Oh,
with
that's right.
like
You used to do
like
LARP.
Dungeons and Dragons geek. No, well, LARPing didn't exist when we were doing it. So it was improv. We were doing improv acting, and a lot of us were theater, like into the theater and plays that we did at schools. And I put on a lot. I like directed many plays in high school and wrote many and basically ran the theater thing because it wasn't really there, and we just sort of made it. 20 of us kids just kept putting on plays and bilking our parents for like way too much money.
Of
Yeah,
course.
for our school trips and stuff. Like I would put on poetry readings, and all the kids would get involved because it was a chance for them to hang out on a Friday night, and all the parents would come out, and we charged them like $50 a head, and then do auctions that would go up in the hundreds. And they like
Wow.
didn't, and then I all to be forced to listen to like me read poetry and other kids read poetry they wrote or put on plays. Yeah, it was a good grift.
Sounds like it.
No, it was wonderful experience, and everyone actually really sincerely enjoyed it. And yeah, I like to pretend it was something else, but no, it was a beautiful thing. And Waldorf School is the place to do it. So
That's the first
yeah,
time I ever heard about Waldorf School when you told me about it.
yeah,
How
yeah.
long have we known each other?
Since we met August 1st, 1997, when I
Yep,
was 16
97.
in Los Angeles.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, Dan Ortiz and Nancy picked me up from Ontario Airport and drove me to a house, and then I think then we picked you up there and we all drove to Maria's. Yeah, and then she fed us huevos rancheros until we died.
I don't think we died. I think we lived.
No, we couldn't, not with all like the hour-long morning middle pillars feckin' Didis had us doing.
You know, some people that's just what they do. Damn, that's crazy. I guess if you're watching this video, you probably know that, our brother Paul Rana. He had an accident, I think it was what, February 6th? I believe so. And
Last Monday.
yeah, and he passed
Yes.
and he's no longer with us. And so I've been dealing with that all week. And one thing, I mean, I knew this already, but when you see it, it really drives it home. Paul was loved by everybody. I mean, I've talked to almost maybe 250 people over the phone or through text or whatever social media platform. I mean, people have been reaching out.
Yeah. Think I cried enough all week that I won't weep tonight. So
Okay.
don't you
Is
get
that
me
a bet?
started.
Is that a promise or a bet?
I hope so. We'll try and invoke Ed's spirit to keep us hardcore metal.
Well, Paul would
Stoic.
appreciate that. Paul was
Don't you
hard.
think, what would your chapter on Stoicism say? This is one of your books,
Yes.
Hacking the Human Experience, a 30-day reprogramming handbook by Jeffrey Lee Contreras. And you have a chapter on Stoicism and the practicing Stoic.
Yeah, I
So
actually have quite a few chapters to deal with Stoicism because it's like a four-pronged attack on changing yourself. And one of the whole prongs is Stoicism. Obviously, there's prayer, manifestation, and then you got to do something physical, so I think it's a good layout in the book. There's really a lot of people argue these days, is the brain like a computer or is it not like a computer? Well, it doesn't matter, but if you think it is, then treat it like one, and if you think it's not, don't treat it like one. Whatever you choose, just use it. And I don't know, the computer thing works for me because that's how my brain works. If I see something, if I know I have to remember it, in my head, I'll make an imaginary file. I'll open up a folder. I'll title the folder. I'll put that experience in there and I'll close the file and then I'll shut it up. And then I have a better chance of remembering that later.
Yeah.
But get rid of it, because if you just let it sit there in the lower part of your memory spots, it's going to get kicked to the back, and you can only remember, I think, what is it, 4 things? Yeah, I think it's 4 things at once in your active memory. The 5th thing pushes out the first thing, and the 6th thing pushes out the 3rd thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you got something in those 4 spots, you want to remember it, you should write it down.
Well, yeah, I certainly like to write things down and take notes. Yeah, I came up with I come up with things all night and then grab the computer and I'm writing and writing. It's just constantly like that. And trying to distract myself with work, of course, with from the tragedy. And how would he want to be remembered? How would he, is he like a wake kind of guy, or solemn, or what would
No,
he
he's
say
kind of
about
like a
the
party type of
situation?
guy. He wants people to have, you would want, Paul was, you know, he couldn't stand going to a place and having everybody be down. He was the type of person who would, even if it was something like this, he would give everybody spirits up. That was just the type of guy he was. So yeah, I think the memorial is going to be nice. We're going to have a memorial for him on Monday, and it will be live streamed. So I'll try to get you that information as soon as I do. That way, maybe you can get it to the people who watch the show or whatnot. Maybe have a newsletter or whatever they do these
Yeah,
days.
yeah, I'll definitely put the word out about any details.
I think I
Yeah.
have the details. I just don't have. I'll get them to you soon. Maybe even before the end of the show. We'll see.
Yeah, so you did you meet him in an order, or did you meet him in the
I actually
Siddhartha?
didn't. Paul moved down here. He got himself a girlfriend, and I think in like 4 or 5 months, he had a Thanksgiving dinner at his house, and he had already joined the Masons. So he met a couple of our mutual friends. One of them, Mark, and I don't know, they just hit it off. And so Paul invited Mark Thanksgiving. He said he could bring some friends. I was one of the friends, and that's how I met him. Yep. He was a dynamo.
I bet. Well,
Yeah,
obviously.
like I was saying before we started the show, that dude, he had some kind of potion, an elixir. I don't know, maybe it was some salve. I don't know, but he used this stuff and it gave him 27 hours a day.
Yeah. He did a lot in a short amount of time. Like to be not, to have been an adept in the Sodalitas Rosea Crucis, which is a Golden Dawn order, and then head of the Martinist order. I don't know how to pronounce it really, how you pronounce it, and my French is of course perfect, so I would say like
Oh,
Ordre Martiniste Souverain, but
oh my gosh,
I don't know
that's the most
French.
beautiful pronunciation of that I've ever heard. Good
How do
job.
y'all say it?
I say OMS. Otherwise, it's going to sound like Texan would say it, and with emphasis.
So you're not into Martinism specifically for the French?
No, that's like the fourth. No, that's like that's like the 14th, 17th. It's yeah, it's on the list though. Why I like it. It's in the 20s somewhere. Gotta love French, right? I love French fries.
We just had bad French teachers and good German teachers, so I went with the good teachers. The bad teachers can make things seem so much more difficult than they need to be.
Yeah, I bet.
It's more like banging your head against the wall. So
Yeah, our teachers weren't very interactive, so we don't know. We don't know
yeah.
what that experience is like. I don't anyway. I think I
Yeah.
always taught myself anyway. If I thought it was interesting, I learned about it.
How did Paul get into Martinism? Do you know?
Uh, he was in Europe, running around over there and meeting a whole bunch of new people, and that's where he found out about it. And I think, actually, I don't know if he was in that first group of Martinists, the new Martinists here in Texas. I can't remember if he was there or not. I don't think he was. But it was around 2000. Oh no, he couldn't have been because that was in 2005. All right. I think he knew some people who were in it.
And do you know what compelled him to eventually form his own order?
I'm pretty sure for Paul it was the French.
He
Yeah.
loved it.
Oh yeah, he loved French.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And I mean, so
M-
that's how he ended up finding all the documents that he found. He just kind of combed the French libraries. Almost all that information is online these days. He would just look at different manuscripts, see if he could find a name that he recognized, and if he could, he'd try to cross-reference with another name. Before you know it, man, we've got so much information that's really fits together so nice and well, and it tells the whole story, and it's great. And he carried that, and I tell you what, that boy was phenomenal. Yeah, but after he joined the Masons, I think he joined the Golden Dawn group out here, and he excelled in that. Uh, he pretty much excelled at everything he did. There was like ecclesiastica type of vein that we have, and I mean he jumped headfirst into that, and I mean he loved doing that. And then he started, I guess, doing Martinism, and then that's kind of where he hit his stride. Finding all those documents and just having the network of resources that he did when through Freemasonry, he was able to accomplish quite a bit. He really knew how to get the best out of little bitty situations or how to tie them together and make one better thing. Yeah. I used to joke around and say Paul was like a Hufflepuff. But if you think about what the Earth attributes are, I mean, he was like a Hufflepuff. I don't know if you assign the elements to Harry Potter schools, but
I haven't heard that before. What are they? Maybe they're obvious. I've never
yeah, they
thought of.
should
I've
be.
never bothered to think about it.
Really? What do you think a Gryffindor is?
Fire,
Yeah, of course. And what is a Slytherin?
water.
Yes. And then the Ravenclaw. It's a bird.
Air,
Yes.
air. Yeah,
And then
that's my house, man.
there's the Hufflepuffs. I think
You
they're
think Paul was
turtles.
a Hufflepuff?
Yeah. He was definitely, he, yeah. But that being said, if he was in Harry Potter's world, he would have been the star of that movie, not Harry Potter.
No shit. Have you seen those jump kicks?
I'm just telling you, and that's the type of guy Paul was. Didn't matter. Yeah, you could write him as the number 4, red shirt on Star Trek. If he was a red shirt on Star Trek, he'd live past the first scene. That's what
Yeah.
Paul was like.
Yeah, to be that accomplished in martial arts and magic and also like initiatory mystery schools it's a lot. And then the masonry thing, just yeah, he was constantly giving
Dude, he
lectures
took to it. He took to it like a
all
fish
over
to
the place.
water.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah. Yeah. And his magical work was just no joke at all. Like when he did a guest lecture for us, of course, and was gonna be doing it. He was supposed to be on the podcast right now. This is why so we were sort of doing this. That was the first thing. I was like, holy shit! Like both him and Augie were scheduled for February, and they're both gone
Wow.
now. And it's just fucking a 1-2 combo at the start of the year. It's like fuck. Is this? I hope this is not how the rest is, because this is taking a heavy toll in a short amount of time. Not to mention the alien invasion.
I know, and the attack on our nation's infrastructure.
We shot it down,
Oh,
but we can't find any bits of it. It sank. The water's
oh,
very deep.
y'all probably aren't getting that news, huh? America's under attack. It appears they've been
It needs all the.
attacking our power grids. They've been attacking our railroads. I
Oh, it's
think something.
crazy,
There was another attack today in Arizona. I think it's crazy.
man. Yeah, it's very hard to imagine a future without Paul Edward Rana, man. Like Jesus.
The little
Yeah,
Filipino Jesus.
I want to know what he'd say about everything.
You know what? He probably wouldn't even dwell on it one bit. He'd probably start talking about something else that was more interesting and more upbeat and beneficial towards all.
Yeah, for sure. Though he'd comment on an alien invasion if we actually get that.
Right.
And that would be, then I want to know what everyone thinks.
Uh, well, I know what I would think right off the bat.
You think it's already begun, I'm
Well,
sure.
yeah, but I don't know. You know what? Everybody keeps saying they're starting Project Bluebeam. They're starting Project Bluebeam, but I think it can't work for them now. There's too many people that know about Project Bluebeam, and they're not going to fool everybody. And the ones that the percentage of people that they don't fool right off the bat would put them like in the middle to the late rounds of any other conspiracy theory when you had everybody believing them at once. It's a process of chipping away at the stone until you get that critical mass of people, and then you realize, oh damn it, the conspiracy theorists were right.
So is Project Blue Beam essentially the idea that the government's going to use aliens to distract from what it's actually doing?
Yes, that would be like holographic ships. It'd be either an invasion or I guess, introduction. But more models say they do the invasion route. I don't know why. That seems stupid to me. I think they do better if they did the introduction script. But it doesn't matter. It's all fake. So I mean, but yes, there's intelligent races out there, and yeah, we probably are interacting with them, and a lot of them. And I don't know. I see it in all the other timelines. I just don't see it in this timeline very obviously. I don't know why that is, but
Do you think do you think we can experience those other timelines
oh
with
yeah,
through DMT?
you don't even need DMT for that. I mean, that's some sideways action.
Well, I'm just guessing at what you're talking about or what techniques you're discussing, whether it's psychedelic or just magical or spiritual or
It's kind of like
meditative.
meditative, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of like astral projection, except
Okay.
you're astraling to a different timeline.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. There's just like a little box. You just push the button and it'll shuffle the timelines. There's filters. You can add filters if you want to. Yeah, it's a great app.
Hmm. Have you is Paul the kind of magician like the Jake Stratton Kent style that would want to be summoned after or have people try to talk to him? Or is he more the type to be like, see ya, it's been good?
You know, I think he had different operations for both of those occasions, and Paul was never one to not have an occasion. So we did work all the time when he was around because it was so easy to say yes to doing work when he asked, yeah, you want to do some work? I said, well, you can think several reasons why you don't want to feel like doing any work, whatever. You had a long day. You didn't come to the guy's house to do work. There's a whole bunch of reasons that go through your head. And then you look at him and he's excited. He's always excited when he asks you, you want to do some work? And then, if he sees you're kind of like on the fence, he'll talk you into it. He'll be like, oh, come on, dude. We can do that ritual that we've been wanting to do for all this time. That's just perfect settings for it right now. All right, let's go do it. He could always talk you into doing some ritual work.
What's a basic or regular daily Martinist work sort of look like compared to Golden Dawn or even pagan practices? How would
It's
you
more
describe?
it's more prayerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's about the only thing really. Because after the prayer, we still would do the normal things that, in other groups. They might start with that. Our ending is their middle or their near beginning. We still get to the same place. We just cut out the middle and the beginning. We
Interesting.
just get straight to the end.
Cool. Yeah. Then the order will be all will survive without him. That's something you seem to have mentioned before. That it
Dude, I tell you, yeah, the order will be fine. Paul's legacy will live on for sure because that fool wrote about 22 books. He did so many videos that still haven't been uploaded to YouTube or anything like that. He gave so many lectures. He recorded almost all of them. So I know he'll probably have another couple books coming out in the next few years, just a bunch of stuff that he was working on that we'll make sure it gets done. And yeah, I mean, oh, and we have that TV show coming out too. I forgot all about that.
what's this?
Oh yeah, Paul was in LA. I guess it was in December, late November, early December. Uh, they're filming some show, some documentary series. They were going to be talking about, esoteric orders, and it's like I don't know, 9-10 episode show. And one of the episodes, Martinism was going to be one of the episodes, and they were going to interview a lot of different Martinist groups, but definitely the OMS was one of them. And I'm pretty sure I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive that Paul is the co-host because when he went there and he filmed his show, he did so well. The guy said, "Man, you want to be like a co-host, and we can then because you seem to know so much stuff, and you can talk about all the other groups too." And he was like, "Oh yeah, sure, let's do it." So yeah, that'll be coming out soon.
That's amazing. That's very exciting news.
Yeah,
That's
I think they said springtime, maybe. I don't know. It's gonna be like on Hulu or Netflix. I forget, but I'll definitely let you know when I find out.
that's wonderful. Yeah, it's bittersweet too, for sure. He's gonna, yeah. Whether
I
he's
know he was
gone
too
to the
young. He was too young for this song, but Paul liked all kinds of rock music, and he would have said, it's better to burn out than to fade away.
yeah, yeah, he
And
certainly
that's
had
that's
seems to have
basically
had that kind of mentality.
he lived that though. He really did. I tell you. I went to Brazil with him. It was great 2.5 weeks, whatever it was, and it was amazing. But every day, every free minute we had, when we weren't doing ritual or had lectures or anything like that, every free minute, Paul had something for us to do. I'd be like going, dude, it's every minute. I'm gonna go to the room. I'm gonna skip these next 3-4 things, and I'll see you in the morning. Because he didn't have an off button.
Yeah. It's wonderful. He was a dynamo of life. And yeah.
I think we did 16 initiations in a 3-day period. When we went down there, it was amazing. I love that place. I love Brazil. Yeah. Paul took me hiking on a trip there. And when Paul takes you hiking, it's not no like, my idea of hiking is we're going to go over there. Okay, that's fine. At least I can see it. And it's kind of like on the same, plane. It's not like this. It's like this, And so it's cool. Okay, I can see it. Yeah, we'll hike over there. When we hiked in Brazil, he took me on this trip to Mordor, throw the ring over the edge thing, hike, and whew, I did not know if I was going to make it, but I did. Obviously, I'm here talking to you, and I did get one of the coolest pictures ever from that hike. Even though I hated the hike, I hated the way up, and I hated the way down. I did get one of the coolest pictures of that somebody's ever taken of me, and Paul was the guy who took the picture.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. How's his family doing?
They're devastated, obviously. I mean, you have Paul in your family, you think, he's going to outlive everybody. You should have seen all the supplements he took. I mean, he took a ton of supplements, but he was so active and he was healthy. So I can't fault him. I can't blame him. Whatever he was doing right.
Yeah. We talked a lot. Yeah, a lot. And such a loss. It's crazy.
Yeah,
The books he
you
put
have
out
to
were
whenever you were doing something with Paul, if you weren't prepared to go all in, no matter what it was, then you were gonna have problems. So you had to make sure you were up for it. I never tried to drink with him because boy could drink. That the hiking thing, oh my god, the running, just he had a really nice gym in his garage, and I tell you what, do all the boxing stuff, all the yoga stuff. I didn't mind none of the yoga stuff. Boxing stuff I didn't like too much for me. My cardio, I guess I need better cardio, but whatever. Yeah, you had to be all in. And I lived with that guy for like, I don't know what, 5 or 6 years. And I got so much shit done in those 5 years. It was fucking crazy. It's infectious, It's like, wow. Look back on those times and I was like, going, really? I did all of that shit? Okay. Well, then, won't be repeating those things. I'll be moving on to something else.
What were some of his other qualities, exciting qualities as a roommate?
Oh, dude. You didn't ever have to have pressure on being the life of the party because as long as Paul was there, you didn't have a chance of being life of the party. So you could just put in second gear and coast.
Just
That was
chill,
always nice.
just
Yeah,
enjoy the show.
exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh my God. And the number one, without a doubt, Paul could make the best breakfast tacos that you could ever imagine. They were eerily good. And I can't believe I'll never get another one of them. Man, that boy could cook. I mean, he learned how to make the 6 mother sauces from scratch.
What is that?
He learned how to make the 6 mother sauces from scratch.
What are the mother sauces?
What's the matter with you?
I'm Canadian.
Did you just ask me what mother sauces?
Yeah. No.
The mother sauces are the sauces that you make all food out of.
Okay.
So if there's food and you need a sauce with it, and it's going to be one of those four,
Like
or a
vinegar?
derivative of. No, it's like like a marinara. I think tomato sauce. No, I think it's marinara. It's the six mother sauces. One is like I can't believe I can't remember them. It's because we were just talking about them. Anyway, it's the
News to
foundation.
me.
This is one of the foundations of cooking. So, and just would teach himself.
Hmm.
I think he really Paul just liked to do things. That's it. And if
Yeah,
he could find 10 minutes in the day where he wasn't doing something, the next day he'd be doing something in that 10 minutes. And the variations of things that he did, he might never do the same thing in 2 weeks.
yeah, it's a rare skill to be able to do that and also get things done.
Oh, he got things done all right. Yeah.
You have to be very mercurial to handle that without becoming scattered and ineffective. But that's what we're all about, eh?
Yeah.
Becoming like Mercury. Yeah. Well, how's life outside of Austin?
It's not too bad. It's just I'm tired of city life.
Yeah. Well, you're in the country still, right? So
I am.
would you like to be more in the country, like further away?
Yeah, I think so. Especially like I said, now that we're under attack or something. Something's going on here in America. It's crazy. Y'all know about, right, all the train derailments we've had recently?
I
The
do. I
UFOs.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's also been attacks on our power grid.
Yeah.
Yeah, something's going on.
Yeah.
You know,
Most people I think I know are pretty
if I was a
checked out.
conspiracy guy, I would probably say, looks like the Illuminati is cashing in and they're playing all their cards right now. Could be Blue Beam, could be anarchist, country disruptor dividers, George Soros paid lackeys who never had a job in high school, probably not to college either. But I digress. And yeah, we're being attacked over here. And by balloons too. Who uses a balloon as a weapon? You know how traumatizing that can be?
I guess, you know, yeah, sure.
I mean, a lot of
I
people are afraid
mean,
of balloons.
depends if it's like,
They might as well have
yeah,
used a clown. That's how bad it could be.
I don't know if it's yeah. I was thinking the other day about uh, how if they're gonna, clamp down on censorship on podcasts, but then I found out, I recalled I found out that Spotify or someone had bought a company that basically it changes so like it would make it so that I could speak into the podcast and then it would change my voice to say something else based on who's listening.
To
So
say
like
something else.
things might get to the stage where what people hear you say is not what you
Uh-huh.
said, and it's tailored to each person in your voice.
Yeah, like deep faking.
And that might just become a standard form of censorship if things go really wrong, which would be kind of hilarious, but also terrifying, of course. Because
Uh,
then there'd be no point for you to even talk. And of course,
right.
that might be the goal.
I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm an optimist, so I'm gonna go with the that we won already. And this is just the dying pangs of a power structure that's long since past its due of dying.
End of empire. Yeah, definitely transformation.
Yeah.
A lot of what's going on now, I mean, is very Pluto and Aquarius, of course, like death and transformation, and
Okay.
on a communal level. And we got Saturn there as well, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
and that's also Aquarius is also the androgynous sign. Remember, it's also androgynous. So that you mix with Pluto and Saturn,
Yeah, that
it
makes
really explains
sense.
what's going on in another area that
Wow.
we probably shouldn't talk about.
I can't believe that. Is that true?
Yeah,
Well, that does make a lot of sense. Boy, they are piggybacking on that energy, and I bet you that's a nice, strong, low draw. You know what I mean? That
all
energy
you need
just
to do is
it
add a
doesn't
couple
even pulse. It
sacrifices
doesn't
to
even pulse. It
Moloch.
just keeps going forward. There's not even nothing like that. It's just push, a slow push. Because yeah, that's some power right there. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. It's always fun. I obviously have a good astrology teacher and have had many good astrology teachers, but one in particular. And yeah, it's one thing that's fun, always fun about astrologers is they tend to look at things like with a yeah, they look at what's going on, like, yeah, of course this is happening. Why are you so upset about it? You know?
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm always
Yeah,
like, well,
they
it's
should make
bad.
like a one
What's
hour
happening is bad.
what do you call those? Like a comedy drama, like romance, and it could be like an hour long. And what you could do is you could teach people astrology with it, and you would have 12 settings, and there's 12 settings would be the 12 houses, and then the characters would be the planets. Okay, and they would have the attitudes based off of what their predominant traits were of the planet, and they would change as they move from setting to setting. And then you can have them interact with the other planets in conversation and talk about how the aspect affects whoever it's affecting. It can almost be like a conflict thing. And yeah, I think that would be easy to produce. We should do that.
All right. Yeah.
Cool. We just need
After
about
I'm done
15 people. But
other things.
you got other things to do?
I'm supposed to be working on this musical, but
Dude, I'm supposed to be working on my second book, and I wrote a whole screenplay in between. So there.
yeah, yeah, tell me again about your second book, and it's not a cartoon,
No, it's not a cartoon because cartoons are no,
but it might become a cartoon.
I don't know. I was editing it the other day, and I was thinking to myself, this is kind of like just a collection of memes that are themed memes, kind of. I mean, they weren't actual memes, but I noticed that's how they were. It was a lot of panels I used. The story made its point within the panel, and then you go on to the next panel. You know what I mean? Instead of having to pay attention to every panel, but I guess that's because there's no real star of the book. Oh well. It's a graphic novel though, and dude, I tell you what, graphic novels are harder to do than I thought they were.
Hmm.
So yeah. Uh
Well, last time you
then
said the art wasn't too difficult, if I recall correctly. Maybe I don't.
I don't know. I mean, it's not because there's a lot of people there's places that have stock images or royalty free images, and I just put those in Photoshop and I alter them to my taste. And since they were already duty free, once you pay the subscription, use them all you want. Just change them up however you need to. So yeah, it's the dialogue that sometimes trips you up. I don't know. I'm very fortunate though that I think really we all are. I mean, there's so many people in the magic world that are creative and have great imaginations and whatnot. They need to be writing stories or writing screenplays because there's so many platforms that are starving for media. They would buy that stuff up just like that. That's real magic right there. Take one of your stories and make some money from it because we all got cool stories. I'm sure. I mean, all the people I hung out with, they told the best stories without a doubt.
Yeah, you find a lot of good, there's a good amount of great people like that in the occulture, especially I think in the older influencer days before all the internet madness really got started. I mean, we used to be able to just ignore the kinds of people that were like constantly on alt magic and bitching, and now they are, recommended to us by algorithms in in in, in ditzy dresses.
Oh man, good old algorithms. Dude, I was listening to a feed the other night, and it was like metal. It's like AI generated metal. And when you listen to it, and you're like, that sounds like it's produced metal. Crazy. It won't be long, dude. Won't be long. Yeah, as a matter of fact. I think that's the last thing I sent Paul. Let's see. You ever play with that new AI stuff, dude?
No, fortunately, my computer's too old to handle it.
Dude, it's kind of surreal. Let's
Yeah,
see.
it looks very.
It gets better from
Oh, sorry about that. All right. Yeah, that was the last text I sent him. I'll be damned. Crazy. But yeah, that metal channel is pretty unreal. If you put lyrics to that, you would never know. I've seen some great poetry come from the AI. It's a matter. I mean, I've seen some really good poetry come from it. Some of it's funny as shit. Little machine. It's getting smarter every day, man.
Yeah, I mean, what could go wrong with
And it
Skynet?
never takes a day off either. It gets smarter every day. I mean, okay, I might have a good stretch where I go 3, maybe 4 days a week and learn something. Maybe that's a good stretch, probably, I would think. Yeah, I'm almost 53 now. Yeah, okay. So, yeah. I'm sorry, where were we at?
Memento Mori.
Yes. Dang.
You remember this little beauty?
Oh yeah, dude. You know, I
First
think I told
edition
you the last time we
Kabbalion.
talked. There's like it's weird, that book. I love that book. I mean, I love that book.
Yeah.
And it's weird though. It seems like a lot of people get very upset about that book.
Well, I mean, a lot of us mock people. There it is.
It used to be me.
Um, you know, who take it in the wrong way.
Yeah. I don't know.
Especially people who insist that it's like part of like, the original Hermetic literature.
Well, it's definitely not that, but
Yeah, we know who wrote it.
it might as well be.
I think the problem is that some of the principles aren't true.
Which ones?
Well, you can read different people's opinions. Like Nick Farrell's got his famous little blog take, and there's some other papers that have been written that go through them that make better. They say it better than I can attempt to, because it comes down to certain things, I guess, that we've learned about physics or just reality. Yeah,
It's metaphysics, though. It doesn't have to. It's not.
it makes claims about physics and the way things are physically, though. It does do that. Like most new thought, there are problems with new thought is really the my thesis.
Oh, that's your thesis?
That's the
I'm
thesis.
interested.
Yeah,
Yes.
it can't be digested wholesale. There's definitely some meat on those bones, though.
The meat clings to the bone.
Well then I could pass on New Thought. But the thing is, no, like the psychology and like you say, the hacking of the human experience is a very real thing. It's a very valid component to pardon me, um to complement, you know, the working with spirits and working on ourself as a spirit. Like Valentin Tomberg reminds us that he says flat out that magical practice, autonomous magic as he calls it, without mysticism and gnosis is just empty sorcery, and you can't even call it black magic because there is no black magic. There's just fools stumbling in the around in the dark. He has a very distinct opinion, which I don't think these days, especially with people like Jake Stratton Kent's excellent work on some of those traditions, you know, we understand things differently, more clearly in a lot of ways with some of the nuances that he, you know, that Tomberg wasn't privy to when he made some of those blanket statements or accusations. And
Yeah.
it's a fun way to say things. It's certainly, it's all, you know, a little bombast is never completely out of order.
Agreed. Yeah. I don't know. I find them to be more true than not, especially the more I learn. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really sucks because I'm doing this. We're using it as a study guide for the rest of our work right now in my
Oh,
little
nice.
school. And as we've gone, so we just finished the first chapter over 6 weeks of doing other work. It's not what we're studying for 6 weeks. We only study it for one day, but we read it
Mhm.
throughout, and we're following the corresponding magical work. So working with Ophiel because it's under Mercury, and learning about the, you know, spirit hierarchies and all of that stuff. And also, of course, corresponding gods like Thoth and Hermes to counterbalance the somewhat rampant Catholicism of Tomberg. It's nice to throw in a heavy dose of good old Egyptian theurgy to balance that out. So like next week we're
Yeah, I can see that.
doing a whole
It's a
class
nice
on
mix.
Isis and Shekinah. So but it's been rough, and because every day I'm studying and writing up designing courses and lectures, and Paul was going to be such a major resource as
Oh,
this Martinist, because Tomberg was a Martinist,
uh-huh.
and a lot references Louis Claude de Saint Martin all the time, and I know there's things that I will miss because I'm not a Martinist, and I was so excited over the next 2 years
Oh, you know what?
to get his thoughts on each chapter as I went through it, and
We
have him
had
do some guest lectures and guest teaching, which he's already done. And it's just so devastating every day to like to work at that stuff and have and constantly be wanting to ask him questions. Fuck.
dude,
Sorry.
have you had Bushman on the show?
No, who's he?
Oh, he worked very closely with Paul, and he knows a lot of that history. And yeah, he's very knowledgeable on all that. I'll hook you up with him after the show.
Cool.
Yeah, he would definitely be very knowledgeable on all that history, and I think you'd get a lot of talk with him.
I'm sure he's great. He won't be the same as Paul, but
No, he won't, and he'll be the first
that's
to
the
tell
level.
you he won't be. But they drew from the same well, and Paul taught him quite a bit.
Yeah. Every time I meet a Martinist from now on, I'll be like, yeah, but can you do a jump spinning crescent kick?
And you'll probably never hear a yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rare when occultists are that athletic.
Yeah,
There's definitely a good amount. Um, like you know, when I met like Lenny, when I met him, he was like jumping over my head, showing me different ninja techniques that you can do when you can jump over someone's head,
yeah.
like flip over their head while they're holding you. When you can do that, you can do all these things. Awesome. That's not going to happen for me, but it's very cool to experience it. And yeah, so there's not many of them, and they're fucking treasures because they understand and bring the whole physical and body aspect to magic in a way that the rest of us more bookish people just tend to, you know, have to a lesser, forget a little bit sometimes. It's possible.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
So they bring a lot.
I'm,
They make a big impact.
yeah, definitely. I'm
What are
sorry.
you laughing about?
I was just thinking about what you said and how Paul would be, and it was just like, yeah, man, that boy, yeah, it's gonna. What? Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just missing my friend.
Yeah, we can distract ourselves with an official topic if we want
Oh,
for a bit.
really?
Yeah, yeah,
You
we could
didn't
talk
even run it
about
by
the
me. You haven't even run
actually.
it by me. How are we gonna go all official?
I don't know. Is there anything you want to talk about?
Nothing in particular. I
No,
don't think.
that's
I think I already
that's
talked about
fine.
what was concerning me. I think America's being attacked. We talked about that, so that's cool. And no, I mean, I haven't been doing nothing but working on my book. I mean, because it's during the wintertime, that's the best time to do stuff like that anyway. I, I was hopeful that I'd be further along than I am, but I'm very happy with the progress I've made so far. I'm almost about, I guess, about page 150. Did I send you a copy of it?
The new one, no.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. Didn't I get your email the other day?
Oh, the did you email me a copy? You mean?
No, I just need your email so I could put you on the Google Drive.
Oh, no, you sent me a paper.
And then after that, I didn't send you a link to my book.
No, I don't think so.
I did. Okay, you're right. I didn't.
Well, you might have on Facebook, but I've been locked out of both my
Oh,
Facebook
that's right.
accounts.
You got locked out
Yeah,
of
yeah,
Facebook.
I've been.
Yeah,
They won't let me on again at all. Um, they want like some sort of dual authentication and or to use a sort of plug-in device or some kind of they take additional security steps, but that's just nonsense.
yeah,
I'm
that
not
was
giving.
nonsense.
I'm not giving. I don't need them to be sending me a text every time I log in. Plus, you know, I don't need a. Anyway, it's just silly. They're being silly. But yeah. Good. But what sucks is they won't let me go in and even remove my accounts or delete my accounts. I just have no access to nothing. And I can't even really notify people. And
That's
so that's
brutal.
yeah, balls.
Google Drive. Yeah, here it is. Oh no, it's not it. You're right. Sorry, you're correct, sir. I
I'm
did not
on the
send it to
ball,
you.
brother. I'm sharp these days.
I'm telling you, man. You're taking your ginkgo biloba.
No, I mean even not taking my mushroom powder right now, but that's because I've been yeah doing different like diet experiments with eliminating different things
Oh,
like
really?
entirely, yeah,
You're gonna go all
trying
the
to
way to the carnivore diet?
if I have to and once I can afford it because it's not cheap but
It's
these
not
days.
just eggs
Not
and
up here,
bacon.
dude. Like I can't even. I'm quitting vaping too because the little bottle, that tiny little bottle, just went up on the first of the year, went from $10 to 30. So it costs more than a $25 pack of cigarettes now. So everyone's quitting vaping. So that's over. Trudeau just killed that. Yeah,
Oh
I
wow.
bet big tobacco paid him off or something.
God, y'all are gonna stink, man. I
It's
hope that doesn't
yeah.
happen here because vaping at least doesn't smell horrible. Anyway,
It's all right. It'll
yes.
give me more time to get back to other things like could go back and do fencing again.
Like cigarette butt flicking.
Well, I'm not gonna ever smoke cigarettes again. I'm over 2 years off those, and thank God I was 2 packs a day, right? So yeah,
Wow.
fucking yeah, vaping has been a blessing to go from like 18% nicotine, drop down to 3%. It's barely any nicotine. So when I don't do it, I just don't even notice.
Yeah,
I
I'm
just
on
enjoy
3%
it.
too.
Yeah, I just enjoy it. Like so when I'm chilling out and not hard at work, I want to enjoy like a thing because I can't
Hey,
do
nicotine's good for your
cigars.
brain. You know that?
A little bit, I guess. I don't know. Not, I
It
mean,
is.
the life is so terminal, who fucking cares, right? Like, do whatever you want. But you know, when sometimes the things you want don't work together, so you have to be careful with that. Like, you know,
I think there's enough good things to want to where it doesn't shouldn't even you shouldn't even break a stride wanting them. You know what I mean? So that yeah, that's I think that's doable. I don't know, man. Sometimes Trudeau scares the hell out of me. But he just never loses.
yeah, I'd say more, but we got new rules up here.
Oh, new rules. My bad. I thought we were on Rumble. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's like it's no, it's you can we can say we can talk about whatever we
No,
want,
we I'm not hey,
but
I understand where we're at.
you know, like talking about yeah, I'm worried that there's gonna be yeah, I'm worried about what might happen up here. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, thought crime's kind of coming.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're lucky. Shit, it's here. I mean, they've been practicing on the conservatives for a while.
Well, that's what suppression and cancellation is. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's it's punishing for thought
See,
crime for sure.
but the people who support the left tacitly because they're attacking the right, they, I, they gotta know. Well, what do you think is going to happen next? They're going to turn on you guys. I mean, that's the nature of the left. It eats itself, and because of their tacit support, it's got more of a foothold than it should have right now. But I think it's like one of those pendulum swinging things. I think we're at the extreme of their end right now, and I think we're on the nascent. I don't know.
Nadir.
We're in the good orb where it's moving away from it.
Okay.
That's what I think anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I see a lot of victories out there for freedom.
For sure. For sure. There's definitely lots of I think mostly reasons to hope. Just some fears of I don't know. I think someone wants to, you know, I think so I think people are like dying for someone to drop a bomb. Like, you know, for
And that's the
as soon as
stupidest
that happens.
thing. It's
See,
like,
I see so much I see the most of what I see is warmongering. That's mostly what I see looking around. Hate and
and
warmongering. Coming
that's the
from
left, really?
yeah,
I
coming
mean,
from the people that of my own side, my own like, you know, progressive NDP, you know, things have changed, so I don't know where the fuck I'm at now, but I don't really, you know, yeah, like things have changed big time. Like, what do you do when, you know, both of your liberal parties in your country, which is up here, both apparently have like completely sold out to corporations? Like, so it's not even a government anymore.
hey, it's not just there; it's everywhere.
No.
I mean,
So,
look the way social media they control. I guess what Americans think. And one of the worst abusers now is TikTok. They just highlight the stupidest thing on purpose because they want to kind of like chip at the culture.
oh, dude, we deserved it. We deserve to fail. We fell for such a stupid trick. We fucking
Dude, it's
deserve
like the
it.
Trojan horse, man.
It's
Totally.
like this is how you die. All these people doing stupid dances on things and like commentary after commentary videos. I've never had TikTok on my phone, thank
Thank
God.
gosh. Hey,
But
I've got an app on my phone that'll tell me when things are trying to talk to my phone, and it's always TikTok from other people's phones trying to talk to my phone. And I don't have TikTok, so I know they just seek out phones that don't have TikTok.
yeah, hey man, the internet was fun while it lasted.
I think it's gonna be fun again soon.
Yeah, maybe. You
I'm
think?
telling you, right? Even right now, like I said, I'm an optimist. I think we win. We always win. It was kind of weird when they were doing all the Mandela effects with the quantum computer testing. Is that still freaks me out sometimes? How do they do that shit? I don't know, but they manifest big time. You know, they put a unicorn in the Bible, right?
Yeah, we actually had this, you know, of course we studied that passage in seminary. Um, it's not
But did
really
you?
even,
But did you, or
yeah,
did they implant that memory in you?
it's not, they implanted the memory in me.
I
And
mean, are you sure you did that?
you know how I know? Because I got a bill. I still haven't paid the bill for it, so
I
they're gonna
bet.
take it back if I don't pay the bill.
You don't want it stuck in there. Pay it.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Is that the only thing you got with from them? Just that one?
Is that
Is
the
that the
only
only
bill I
fake
got?
memory?
Fake memory? Oh, fake memory I got. I'm sure there's others like I don't know. What would have been a fake memory? So I mean, it's really hard to tell sometimes, you know, especially when you're in your dreams,
Hmm.
you know,
Let me ask you this. In your
when you
timeline,
wake
did they
up.
have the mud flood or not the mud flood?
I don't know.
So that means no mud flood for you. Okay, that's the same timeline I was on.
Where
Good.
would the mud flood have been?
It was everywhere, dude. It's crazy. But definitely in Europe, Central Europe, it was on the West Coast. I've seen pictures from a lot of different places, but a lot of it, mostly in Europe, though. It was like some huge mud flood, like in the early 1900s. I mean, it devastated cities, supposedly. I don't know. But that's not in my timeline, so it's hard for me to relate to it.
I mean, it would be cool if we could change timelines. It feels like
Uh,
that's what's happening sometimes.
well, I think when that happens, it's because we had to absorb a timeline. You know, that happens sometimes where, two times the energy gets too close together, so they just kind of like combine. And when that happens, that's what I think causes the Mandela effects, really. Whichever timeline had the stronger memory of it, it would replace the lesser memory. You know what I mean? So maybe in our timeline,
Yeah, I've heard about this.
nobody liked you too, or the weekend, or whatever. And in your timeline, they loved him. And so when our two timelines they came together, if the weekend was loved, then we know, oh, okay, we got that part from your timeline. But there's other stuff that could have come from my timeline, and that's how they kind of keep seamed in pretty well without people kind of realizing, what the hell, this is not the way it was just a week ago.
The Weekend versus, did you say you two?
Yeah, I was trying to get to
Those are
a
those
vast
are our
stretch of your audience
choices.
there.
Vote in the comments which you would pick to eradicate from the timeline, The Weekend or Bono.
No, but since they didn't come at the same time, I use those two examples because because you can get something from one timeline and then something from the other timeline. It just depends on in that in the timeline that emerges, what had the more energy behind the memories of, what generated more staying power, and that's going to win.
Yeah. I,
I've seen some
it's
cool
always,
timelines before where the I know this is probably not going to sound right, but I've seen some timelines where the South would win the Civil War and slavery was still abolished right after that, but the Federal Reserve was never created because the South made sure that did not happen. And there was not a World War One and not a World War Two, and then what became World War One was later on, like during the Vietnam era. But that timeline was pretty peaceful, really. I'm pretty sure. Do you pay
what
attention to secret soldiers, the super soldiers? That's what it is. Like they used to make Captain America. Well, they have that. They have those people, and I don't know. It's just a channel I watch. It's pretty interesting.
okay. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I'm always interested listening to physicists and mathematicians talk about how timelines would work or how could exist. And of course, it's terrifying to imagine the idea of infinite, not just infinite versions and versions of you out there, but infinite versions. It's horrifying. It's
I'm telling
really
you.
the
Can
horrors
you imagine what kind of
in a way.
intelligence you'd have to be a chrono cop? You go around from timeline to timeline, making sure you don't mess up.
I'm curious now if any of them have talked about the possibility of timelines being able to merge, or what that would be like, or if we'd notice it at all. Because, if it is,
What do you mean? We just talked about it.
yeah, I know, but like, I'm curious to see what the scientists say, man.
Oh, I'm not sciencey enough for you.
Exactly. You're perfectly sciencely exactly enough for me.
Oh, really?
Scientifically.
Okay.
Science
Well, then
science
let me
science
know when you have that person on the show or what not, so I can watch.
Well,
But show it on Rumble.
as much as we can discover things that aren't known well yet, because everything goes through its beginning stages of knowledge, beginning stages of contested knowledge, which is a good way to describe what esotericism covers.
Yeah, but
Contested
my
wisdom
knowledge.
is, I think, Hanegraaff's term. But it's interesting. One of the interesting thing about watching the science of it all is that you get to see sort of where progress is at, where the back of the locomotive is, if you want to use
Okay.
speaking of trains, um, so like the front is seeing things that the back can't imagine yet, but the back, knows stuff that the front doesn't know, or something like
Yeah.
that. It's an analogy, and therefore the worst form of argument.
Okay. Fair enough.
So,
No,
it's
I don't know.
because,
I think it's just noticeable, really. If you're paying attention, you see it and you feel it.
yeah, right. I know the feelings and seeings that you are talking about. That's why I'm curious to be like, is anyone, because if I was a physicist, for example, who
Hmm.
felt and saw things like that, you can damn well bet I would be studying it.
Okay, but you're a magician. You can study it from the other end.
Yeah,
What
and
have you learned?
I do, but I'm curious also about, the sciencey side of it. And so
Uh,
that's why I'm asking you if you've heard
on
anything new,
the
because you might,
unsciencey side of it.
I mean, let's go on sciencey.
Okay, on the unsciencey side, I mean, it's awesome, dude. I mean, it's just like any other landmark in the astro. Go to the timeline. And the timeline is to me, it's sentient, it's conscious, and you can have a conversation with it, and you can tell it what you want to do, and it'll kind of like put you in the right tributary. It's very it's like working with any other spirit, I think.
Yeah, well, one of the one of the most common experiences of my life as a result of meditation, is that experience of seeing timelines in those deep states, and feeling a very empowered sense of choice, and also like what kind you get this weird sense of precognition, which was excellent for sports growing up. Like, so starting meditating at 7 like really gave me an edge in athletics, aside from being sporty as a child. And
Uh-huh. I can see
but
that.
like, and then when I didn't get a growth spurt at 12, 13, I just transitioned into fencing and yoga, which was fortunately an option. And I couldn't compete with the now 6'3" basketball players who a year earlier were like my height. That sort of shit happens, of course, to everyone, and so be it. But the coordination and the sense of precognition that comes with meditation, it's one of those many things that actually maybe people don't realize that is a result of you know creating that regularly creating that zone of silence within and around yourself.
I think unfortunately too many people I know don't meditate daily. I try to remind them all the time, you know. So if you ever want everything in your life to start going the correct way, start meditating. Meditate daily. Meditate daily. Meditate daily.
Even a little dabble do you, right?
Exactly. I mean, fake it till you make it. Meditate daily.
Yeah,
I
there
mean,
shouldn't
obviously,
really need to
the
fake
two
it
best
with
times obviously are
meditation.
right when you wake up and right before you go to bed. Obviously, because well, you're winding down or you're gearing up. You're in that in between stage. So
Yeah.
just take 10 minutes and do it then.
Yeah, and mantra medication is great for people who don't want to just go straight self-emptying apophatic kenosis. And if you, as long as you're repeating the mantra for that amount of time, this is how I was taught in the Maharishi world. Like, you're that's meditating. You're not faking meditating. You're just learning. You're just in the beginning stages of a journey. And so yeah, it's there's
And
no
for me, what I
excuse
do is
really.
I use isochronic tones, and I will put the brain wave, select the brain wave I want, and if I want, for some learning or whatever, then I'll make a track that has what it is, either the affirmations or whatever it is I'm trying to learn, and just make it work it that way, because that brain waves, if you get the right brain waves kicking, that's where the magic is.
So how do you specially design the sound?
Oh yeah, there's a software out there called Neural, GNURAL, and it's free to download and has binaural beats and isochronic tones. I pick isochronic tones because you don't have to have stereo earbuds for isochronic tones. It's just a steady beat that your brain starts to jive with. And binaural beats, though, you have to have stereo headphones, or otherwise you won't get the full effect. So yeah, I make a track, I don't know, about 20, 30 minutes long, because it takes you about 10 minutes. The 10 minutes right before you fall asleep, that's usually when your brain goes naturally to the theta wave. And that's what you're looking for. Whatever you do in theta, it's basically like pressing recording and recording what it is, whether it's knowledge or some kind of action like dancing or whatever you want to learn it in theta, alpha,
And
theta, alpha, theta, alpha, theta, alpha, theta.
and so you do that by having it play just for the beginning part of your falling asleep.
Well, I just make a track especially for that. I usually make it about 20, 30 minutes long, and I'll fall asleep in that time. I never
Yeah,
get
so
too
it
bored.
doesn't need to play all through the night for you to
No,
have the learning. Yeah.
because that's the only time you're in a theta waves, because you're going from theta. Most people go from beta to theta, and then into delta, and they never hardly get to a deep delta. But if they did, they could go gamma eventually. But it's hard to predict how to get gamma rays. But anyway, if the theta wave, that's the hitting the record button. That's why theta waves theta waves were, I think, when your consciousness is evolving, theta waves come around when you're around 2 years old. Okay, and you stay in a healthy theta phase from about 2 to 6. During that time, all the input from your senses, all that stuff gets downloaded and remembered, and then it gets filed, and those files make up the background of the traits that your personality is going to use when it's developing.
Yeah, you talk a bit about this in Hacking the Human Experience, I
Yeah,
noticed.
I like to give a little background for it, and it helped me understand it a lot better too.
Yeah,
I think
thanks,
there's there's so much innovation and technology out there, and some of it is really designed to be very helpful. And if you're a magician, you don't know how your brain acts under the different brainwave frequencies, you're doing yourself a disservice, because that is where the magic is. And you've got to know in your meditations when you're at that state. That way you can do other things in your meditations, or you can have very complex, complicated meditations if you wanted to. They don't have to be that simple, like, let's, I don't know, manifest the house we want. That to me is just simple. I think you can get really complex with your meditations, and you could go like a dream within a dream within a dream.
yeah. I noticed you quote Crowley at one point, actually towards the end. And you, love is the law, love under will. What's that mean to you these days? Because you and I, people like, we met when I was a teenager. And we've been reading Crowley for a long time, or
Yeah.
Crowley, sorry, yeah, to those of you who care. Um, yeah, has what that means changed much for you? Would you say over the course of your life?
Yeah, definitely. Because, when I was younger, I understood the concept God is love, but I didn't have the gnosis. And so it was just like a slogan, catchphrase, whatnot. But then after I got my 5-6, I got the gnosis of that, what God is love, what that really means and how that really works. And it's been very helpful, without a doubt. Because that's part of having these complex meditations. And the only thing that in all the magical work, all the training, going through the outer order, however many times I went through the outer orders, there was never anything that was just some basic, here, do this, and it's going to work. Like, I mean, yeah, they give meditate on a dot. Okay, yeah, we get that. That's, knowledge lecture 1 stuff right there. But that's all that we needed. Just that. If they just would have given us that and said, just focus on this, just focus on this. And if every time we asked them something, they said, you're not focused on that, focus on the dot, just focus on the dot. If they would have done that for half a year, we would have been 5-6, easy.
Hey, that's what I said all that time to everyone.
I mean,
and I've been saying it ever since.
6 months, I think, is all you need. If you do 2 meditations a day, and you don't have to start off at 2, but let's say you finish strong, and at least the last 3 months you're doing 2 meditations a day. Yeah, you'll initiate yourself to 5-6 for sure. You'll have so many adventures. It'll be crazy. Always test everything, kids. Always test everything.
Well, that's the I mean, that's what people forget, since so many orders transitioned all this inner order material to the outer order and turned it into this whole, like, Harry Potter-esque school system, which is fun and all, and it's nice to get to play with more rituals early on. But the original order was just a series of meditations and a couple exercises in a ritual, and as far as we know, and then the theory lessons. And so people were going into, as a result, there was so little material. That's why Crowley said there was little material. When people look at, like, if people look at the Golden Dawn by Regardie and then think that's what Crowley's talking about when he says, oh, there was hardly anything in the order, they're getting a flawed picture of the scenario. So people became adepts, like, usually within a year and a half back then. And then they got this huge chunk of material, because all the majority of the inner order material was actually already all developed and written by 1893. So very quickly, shockingly, suspiciously quickly, as Dr. Fuller points out.
Well, he would know, he's a doctor.
Yeah, well, I think it's very evident a lot of it was was channeled. A lot of it was, a heavy amount of it probably was channeled.
I don't know. I mean, everything we do almost in one way or another is a type of channeling.
Yeah. Have you paid attention to what people like John Vervaeke are doing with cognitive modeling and 4E cognitive thought models compared to, like, Neoplatonic structures of cosmology? Did you look at that? Yeah, he's been doing all these huge series. Yeah, check out Dr. John Vervaeke. I wasn't aware of him, even though he's a Canadian doing amazing stuff, until he was mentioned by the Religion Tube folks.
What's his last name?
Vervaeke. Yeah, check out his lecture on Neoplatonism and cognitive theory. It's dense, 2.5 hours, but I took like 10 pages of notes and was very impressed, like, because I've always, as much as I love Neoplatonism, it's never, I think it's never blown me away in the same way it becomes the main obsession, and even sometimes entire spiritual focus for a lot of people. Like, they're like, this is it, I'm going to study this forever. I've met a lot of older guys and girls, and in their 60s, who are like, they've been studying that, and that's when they found that as a kid, or maybe they found it out through like Terence McKenna or something. They haven't stopped studying Neoplatonism. That's their jam. Like, I've always been like, whoa. But yeah, listening to Dr. Viveki was very, very, very interesting, for sure. I would consider it a must listen to for most people, but it's it might be.
John Vervecchi?
Yeah.
Okay. Mind Matters. Yeah, I'll give it a listen. Look, see, pay attention to it.
Yeah,
I'll give it
the
some attention.
Neoplatonism one's a good place to start.
Which one?
The Neoplatonism one is a good place to start.
Okay.
It's a standalone lecture he did down in Savannah, Georgia for the Blackwell's school there, forget his first name, but I've read a lot of his books actually. It's yeah, anyway. Yeah, so is everything channeling to some extent? I mean, one of the things Vervecki points out is, and he has a Zen practice, I guess, a sort of Neoplatonic type Zen practice as he describes it, and
Right.
he does at the end talk about one of the reasons he believes this that he's a part of this whole group trying to recommend a major overhaul in education. He's worked. I think he's also like consulting with the FBI or CIA or something like that, because his realization relevance theory is helpful for computers to identify the relevant salient information or target in the field. And
Okay.
yeah, so maybe he's helping killer robots find their victims as well. I don't know. Or finding down soldiers and getting them medical aid. Who knows? You know, it's not the gun that shoots people, it's the person, right?
Yeah, definitely. I have a lot of guns that never shot
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah, this tech's going to be used for good and for ill, whether we like it or not.
None of my guns have ever shot anybody.
They don't just sprout little legs and be like,
No, I mean, I know a lot of people with guns too, and I can't think of a gun that a person has that shot somebody.
we've been banning guns up here, and
Hmm.
the result's been more gun violence, and everyone's very surprised.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you sure it's not made up gun violence?
No, we've had an increase of gun violence since the new restrictions on firearm ownership came into effect.
What constitutes a violence?
I don't know. We don't have much of it, to be honest. Like you guys are like a fucking shooting range down there. It's like every day multiple like mass shootings. You can't even count the basic gun violence, like how many shootings no, it's like you guys are next level. You guys are counting mass shootings.
They made that up.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just one of those slogans. Uh, I don't see it. And
Yeah.
I live in a pretty gun popular state too. I still can't think of somebody I know whose gun has shot somebody. Crazy.
Yeah, no, they're not. We're not trying to be destroyed like you guys are, because we're already owned. We're already bought and
Hey,
paid for.
hold on. I don't know why, but somebody's knocking on the cave door. Stand by, would you?
Yeah, I'll hit record.
Awesome.
Continue in media res, as is my favorite style to do. But yeah, like we were saying there, during the intermission, that's French.
Yeah, I kind of knew it was French
Uh,
because it sounded okay.
it's French because I said it in a French way.
Ah,
Yeah,
that's what that is.
yeah, yeah. They loved me last time I was in France back in 2009, man.
I
I
bet.
would, especially if I could recall what a Quebecer might say, I would say it with as harsh an accent as I could, like, like instead of what time is this, instead of like quelle heure est-il, I'd be like, Québec, what? And they just stare at me, and not like in surprise or humor, like daggers. Je veux un espresso, s'il vous plaît.
Very
Merci.
French.
Like
Very, very
they're like
French.
plaisir, not. But no, normally it was very nice, and I actually really enjoyed speaking the language. and doing the best I could with it. And people did appreciate that in France. I noticed it was really it was a beautiful rekindling of my relationship with the language. And that was another thing that was exciting about finding out about Paul's work, because I knew about Paul for a long time, of course, through you.
Yeah, it's empty right now. Could tell.
Anyway, sorry about that.
That's
The
all right. It was
interruption. It's
my
all
bad.
good. Yeah, it's all right. Life happens. Yeah, so I've known about Paul a long time, through you, of course. But I didn't realize the work he was doing in Martinism, and seeing the books and that he was putting out and stuff like that. I was very sad not to get a chance to get any of them, but I always knew that I was gonna see him plenty when I
Yeah.
eventually made it down that way. So yeah, I do look forward to continuing this sparkling this new romance I have to a degree with French, and taking a bit further, since after fucking 10 years in Canada of studying the language, you may as well like hammer it out a bit more, just a
Just
little,
a bit more.
un peu, really. I mean, I already know how to swear a blue streak and get through daily life in France, but like to be able to appreciate like the poetry, especially like poetry is what hooked me with German. Reading Heinrich Heine, reading Goethe, that's what hooked me, in a big way. And people might be surprised, but
Man, I
give it a shot.
tell you what, had some highs and lows last year, and I'll admit it. I was caught in a poetry website. Yeah, I would hang out there for a bit.
Like the
It was
idea of being
cool.
able to read Rimbaud or Paladin a bit in French, that would be nice. And it wouldn't take much to get partially there.
Yeah, that's
So
like some advanced stuff right there.
is it?
I think so.
Hmm. Well, once you have 10 years of the basics,
I tell
like
you what, I could get the chat the AI chatbot. He could probably write you some poetry like that.
I'm once again grateful I have a shitty old computer that can't run these demon AIs.
But your phone could run it.
No, it's an iPhone 5.
Oh wow.
It can't even run Instagram.
Instagram? They still have that?
Uh,
Wow.
yeah, I messaged you today on Instagram when my Facebook was locked.
Did I answer you?
No, I don't think you use Instagram
No.
anymore. Yeah,
I do. I go on there for very rare. Very rare. I don't know. Usually it's for some stock thing.
which is why I then emailed you like a fucking adult.
There you go.
But what were
Surprised
we
you didn't
saying
text me. You should have just
before?
texted me.
I turned off my deactivated my phone. Yeah,
Ah.
yeah. There was just there was no need for it.
You
Like
don't
it
have an
was
Obama phone?
no, no.
Oh, too bad. I think he still pays for this phone. Maybe they call it the Biden phone now, but still, everybody seems to have a phone. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I think I might go back to like a flip phone. I have a bunch of old flip phones and some of these old funky weird keyboard
Well, the flip
phones and
phones are
stuff.
back in
I still
style.
have my Palm Pilot. Um it's the one before the Trio. It's got the keyboard. Yeah, and a color screen. It's the first one that had the color screen. I like, it sucks, but sometimes it could load pictures from the internet. It would only take like 15 minutes for one image.
Shut up. Is that
Yeah,
it?
yeah. It said it could play
Man,
video, but wasn't true.
I could get a lot of writing done in that time.
I wrote my entire master's thesis on that thing with
See,
with a pulled out
perfect.
keyboard. The
That's
entire
perfect,
thing.
dude.
Yeah,
That's
and
perfect.
multiple novels. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, this was like 2000 3, 4, 5. So laptops were still like I bought one really expensive laptop secondhand, and it just died in a week. So I was like, okay, fuck this. They're not there yet. And that was like 2000. You're 2000. So like, you know, yeah. Of course, it was secondhand from Zinc, so that was probably my mistake.
Yeah,
Plus, I think he stole it from Sonia, what I heard years later, and I was like,
we were
I asked
inundated
her, and
with
she said she
Dells.
didn't think so.
You could walk down the street and pick up like 17, 18 Dells. just off the street.
Oh well, now getting a shitty computer is like easy, or even a good computer is actually cheap.
I'm just saying.
Computers are crazy cheap now. Yeah.
When Dell took off, that's all there was. Dell computers everywhere in town. It's just like because everybody worked for them. Everybody got free computers. It's like to the max. I think they give away 8 or 9 a year.
Yeah,
It's
no, I'm
crazy.
saving up for a gamer computer so I can play Harry Potter and
There
Baldur's
you
Gate
go.
3.
Yep.
Go Ravenclaw.
You're
Fuck yeah.
definitely you're like one of those trans. What do they call them? Yep. I've seen a video about it. You're one of them.
I'm sure I'm one of all of them. But so we were talking about the one of the as much as we're about the access we have to different groups and orders and teachings and all that stuff today that we
Dude,
just
it's a
didn't have
golden age.
even it's a golden age of
It's
it's
a
the occult
golden age. If
revolution.
you
Yeah.
get
And no one
take your
cares
pick.
about us doing magic because the consensus is it's not real, which is like we got to keep that going as long as possible, as long as possible.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. I kind of would think we should. I wish people would
Dude,
hurry
the
up and learn what
reason
it is
governments
already.
outlawed magic wasn't because they didn't believe in it. They outlawed it because they did believe in it.
Right. But people aren't
And it
not
competed
smart
with
yet.
religion, of course, or ideology.
Yeah. But I mean, the time's coming, I hope. I'm hopeful. Shoot. 26 years ago when I first joined, nobody would talk. There was nobody talking about it. Nobody understood it. Nobody. I mean, okay, granted, okay, I've kind of maneuvered my life to where those are the people that are around me. But still, even when I'm outside of that bubble, and I'm just with a bunch of muggles, you can see it. There's a lot more people that are have a greater understanding, higher gnosis of just life in general. I think their souls are a lot more mature. There also seems the ones with mature souls also seem to be the more hands off type. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like what's kind of screwing them over. I think the millennials are like that.
Yeah. But so I was saying one of the as much as we have a lot of options, it is a shame there's not too many in the Golden Dawn world for initiation now. Like you got a traditional 5-6 initiation, right?
I mean,
And
I is that true? Is that a true statement?
yeah, I think so. Unless you
Huh.
include like Griffin's group, which I don't. But
Nevertheless,
like,
it's like
yeah.
it's a golden dawn. Would you consider?
Well, I guess the problem is just that there's more people interested in it now, and there's not temples in every city.
Is that
So
because did the flame wars finally end? The flame
I
wars
think
over?
they ended ages ago, right?
Did it really?
I don't know. I think so.
I hope so.
I never
I,
paid
I didn't
attention.
fight in the war. I had a
Hmm?
bad leg,
Yeah.
so I couldn't fight in the flame war.
Yeah, I didn't. I barely knew what was going on.
I did make the meme war though. The meme war was fun. I think
Yeah, I
there's
missed
gonna be
out on
another.
that altogether.
There's gonna be another meme war. I think soon. I can feel it. People are hoarding up cool images. They're hiding all their best sayings. They're gonna unleash them during the war. I can tell.
No, I don't have time. I mean, one of the great things about, as you know, probably like the one about not just teaching, but service, being of service to people, is it actually becomes so increasingly demanding of your time and energy if you want to do it well that you don't actually have time for all the nonsense and it just sorts itself out. Like I
I
deleted my
agree. I
Twitter.
agree with you. It does sort itself
I
out, and
deleted my
because
Twitter not because of I was done with the nonsense. The nonsense was a fun little break here and there every few days. I'd pop in and say something stupid, and it's just like, but no, because it's a time cost, and I just got rid of it because it's a time cost. I've got too many fucking great books I need to read, and too many tools I'm need to finish designing, and too many rituals. Like we just did a great heptarchial Enochian ritual the other day for on a Wednesday, calling the
on a
ministers of the
Wednesday,
hour.
whoa,
Yeah,
yeah, uh-huh.
Blisden, right? Working with, and it was amazing. And it was so it was just 2 days after Paul died, but it was scheduled and other students would be there. So, and it ended up just being me and only one student could make it because we had to be at a certain time to meet the time zone requirements, but there's a way to do it. And so we did that like traditional style to compensate for the fact that it's partially cyber magic mitigated through a screen, right? But each person's
Right.
still doing the ritual on their own. We're just doing it at the same time in unison, and then you have your own experiences with the
Right.
spirit and stuff. But like, yeah, anyway, it was beautiful. And I want to have time to do more of that, not less of it. So yeah, fuck Twitter.
Yeah.
And
See, and
social
that's,
media, be on it as much as you need to be in touch with people. But like just having my Facebook nuked like that, both of them and all my pages losing access is fucking, it's not worth my time investing a minute into things that are going to then turn around and treat me that way.
see, when you were describing that, all I was thinking about was, yeah, that's completely and totally channeling. That's what channeling is. That's exactly what they're doing. Except they usually are doing it in the same room.
Who's they?
The people who channel,
No.
all groups who channel, they use the vast majority of channeling and getting information from discarnate entities is done in a small group together. Now, they're larger ones, obviously, because the internet and whatnot. But I think the more potent ones are the small ones. You get more bang for your buck.
Well, that's how our order started as a circle, eternal circle of light, and spirits said to do this. They said, do this, make a temple in the Golden Dawn tradition, and then it became the biggest Golden Dawn order the world's ever seen internationally, with temples of over 100 members active in multiple places like ours. And Texas, I think, was pretty big at one point. Maybe
Yeah, I
not
think we had
100
3 temples at
members.
one point.
Yeah, you had 3 temples at one point. You didn't have we had just one because Canada's so spread out. Well, we eventually had more, but not really. Mainly we just had one, but it was over 100 members for many years. And
Yeah.
it was a lot of work. I was Cancellarius during that time. I was Praeminster twice during that time, Praeminster a couple times during that. It's like so much work. You don't have time for any alt magic project, fairy Wicca nonsense. Like
Yeah, that's
there's
true.
code words
But you
for
know what?
stupid
Paul seemed to have time to do that.
bulletin
He'd
board.
still have an extra another hour. You'd be thinking, oh man, it's time to go to bed, obviously. It's like, oh no, look, it was on the schedule. We're supposed to do this first. Then we have 2 other things to do, and then we can go to bed. And a lot of times you just have to say, okay, if you can do it, I can do it.
Hey man, that's how we were at our temple all this every day, 24/7. Like just
Yeah,
yeah,
y'all had to have
I
like
slept 3 hours a night for years.
y'all had the temple reserve. Y'all had 2 temples at the same building, right?
Oh yeah, we had 2 physical,
No,
a
actually, I
big one and
actually
a
I
little one.
now I remember y'all had 3 if y'all used the very back room as a temple, huh?
Yeah, we had 3,000 square feet, and
Yeah.
we had many carpenters and artists. So it was so beautifully done with the artwork and the paintings and the everything, the banners, just like fucking. It was incredible. It was fucking amazing.
It
That's why
was
even when I
amazing.
imagine like if I could have been a member back when Yates was, or like if there was some sort of equivalent today, it's like I still wouldn't trade my experience for anything in the world because it was fucking awesome. You were there,
I
other
had
people.
fun. Yeah,
It was
it was
great to be
great.
part of such a large group. Because yeah, you
And
know.
that was like the last of the pre-internet recruiting phase. That definitely, you know, that group, they took advantage of that. I mean, they came right at the perfect time where the wave crested, and it was just like, oh, look, all these people got the internet. Now they're looking up esoteric schools, and well, they had a good internet presence.
Well, they created they filled a gap because there
Yeah,
was like that was the thing. There was no other option, and that's why I think the spirits were real in their endorsement of us. And one thing I do know about that old order was that the spirit contacts were real because yeah, I didn't believe that would be stuff that would be part of my experience at all. That wasn't what I really joined for. It wasn't what I was there for. I didn't think that was it. Just the idea of secret chiefs seemed silly to me, as much as who knows what happens to our souls when we die. The idea that there was actually spirits directing an order didn't really click to me, that would be a major function in just some group I joined, you know. But it turned out that was a real, very, very real component to it all. And of course that changes, that draws you out of some of the more new age or Crowleyan psychological understanding of magic or new thought and these things, and opens you up to be like, well, yeah, a lot of that stuff might be great, but also there's spirits here and they have their own part to play, whether you like it or
Exactly.
not.
Yeah,
And then you're like, oh shit. And it becomes very real very fast because you're interacting with these spirits in the temple. And yeah, they're not all great. They're not all nice guys. Sometimes they will disturb you. Sometimes that's why you call them, is because to disturb you in some ways, to challenge you, right? To take you into new realms of understanding yourself. So yeah, that was a big, I think the fact that there was no group to be joined back then. There just wasn't
you're
the
right.
plethora of
Yeah,
groups like there is today. The Ciceros didn't have an open door policy, and they still don't.
right.
I mean, it might be the door might be slightly more cracked, and I think Aaron Leach eventually will, and some of the other leaders will probably make it a bit more accessible. But you still have to fly. You still have to catch a flight and go through that initiation. Like for most people, that will be the way to do it. Like there's, I've talked to a member of their group here in Vancouver, and yeah, that takes flying to there or elsewhere to be with friends of ours, actually, because so many of our ex-members of our ex-colleagues are now in that order and stuff. But yeah, there was no other place for people to go, and so we had this many thousands of people that eventually found a home, and it created a beautiful thing for a relatively brief period of time. That's something interesting about magical orders. They don't stick around usually that long.
I don't know. I mean, I guess not, because here in Austin, even though, you know, of the original three or four with David, four people that we had, I mean, we're all still doing the work. We're not all still doing it together, but that's okay because we're all still doing the work, and we're supporting groups that aren't the same, and that draws more people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of variety and plurality. I mean,
I mean,
especially
I'm thoroughly convinced that you can lead anybody there to the 5-6 if you just have them meditate twice a day. That's it. That's all you have to do. Meditate twice a day and stick to it. Don't skip a day. Don't skip a session. Have a shitty session instead of skipping a session. Okay. Even if you think this is going to be the worst meditation ever, you get in there and you do it. And it might have been the worst meditation ever. But you know what? It wasn't a missed meditation. It was a meditation that was bad. And that's two different things, because you keep that streak going. Magic compounds. You know
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I mean, you start doing ritual work, you might not see the payoff early. You start to feel it in the middle, right towards the end. Yeah, it's a payoff. There's definitely a payoff.
Oh, dude, and the next day I was very I don't want people to take this the wrong way, but there was a draining the next day after the last Enochian ritual. One of the things I was comparing and contrasting with that ritual was wearing the paper lamen versus not. So I'd done the previous one without it and the previous one before that with it, just to get a feel. And yeah, I think I think it's about clarity of communication when it comes to that tool. So that's an interesting tidbit. I mean, veracity is supposed to come from the SDA, of course, the Sigillum Deamet, Sigil of God's
Yeah.
Truth. But yeah, yeah, but it's interesting to see. But there was definitely a drain. Like it took it wasn't the drain of energy having been sucked out of me. It was the drain of having had a lot of energy run through me, because you're standing on that sigil, on that angelic seal, and communicating in it. What Stephen Skinner argues is neither evocation nor invocation in this case, but is something slightly in between, which makes sense because the Enochian angels have a kind of in between feel about them. Like they're not, it's fair to say they don't feel like every other kind of angel, which is fair. They're Enochian angels. They have this layer of reality around Malchut that they
They're very
primarily operate
metropolitan to me.
Metropolitan. That's an interesting way of putting it.
That's how they are to me. You know what I mean? That's the sense I get. You know, they're like
Tell me more.
they're uptown spirits, and then you know they got it going on. That's for sure. They know. I think they have a lot more free will than a lot of the other entities that we generally talk to that aren't polarized towards the negative aspect. Yeah, they can do do what they want, and they definitely have their talents, and their knowledge is superb. I was thinking I probably haven't done a good Enochian ritual in about 6 years. That's either a good thing or a bad thing. It's a good thing if all the ones I did must have worked. That's why I didn't have to do them again. And it's a bad thing because, well, if they were working, then how come I haven't done one in such a long time? So, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll
Yeah,
put one together here.
I,
Give it a
I,
week or two.
I kicked it off with the seven penitential psalms, which because maybe it was because it was such proximity to Paul's death, and also I'm the podcast has been getting a bit more hate than normal out
Oh,
there in the
really?
East. Yeah, since the new year. However, in January, I not only broke my podcast record, but I hit 10,000 downloads. This goal I've had for a long time. I jumped from like it's been fighting around 5, 6, 7,000 downloads for like 7 months, and then all of a sudden, the month where I get like attacked the most from like the occult influencers, those
Mm-hmm.
little those little fuckers, um, it jumps up to 10K,
See,
10
there's no such thing as
10,200
bad,
downloads.
no such thing as bad publicity when at a certain stage in your growth.
Well, the people that like you stick around, and sometimes the people that don't like you stick around too, and so they can let you know what they think of you at every turn. And
Yes,
they're
but you know what?
charmers,
But they're listening
charming.
to your show. I got a lot of
They're
respect for
not
somebody
really,
who'll
but
listen to
I
the
think
show
I
and
don't know.
then complain. You know
I
what I
don't know.
mean?
Yeah.
I got respect for those people.
Unfortunately, it's the cost of doing business.
I think so. It's a good cost, though. That's part of learning,
Yeah.
part of your experience curve. You got to be able to know how to take the hecklers.
Yeah, they really, a lot of them really think that I should not you know, talk about psychedelics on the show, that's really dangerous for some people to hear about. It's like, or someone said it's dangerous for people to keep hearing about that when they're trying to listen to a show. It's like that's a huge part of the show. And it has been like anyone who doesn't know that hasn't been listening, right? Like there's straight up trip reports on the show. So maybe you're in the wrong place. And it's not because I don't care about you and your attention and time and wish I could cater to you. It's like you got to make choices in life. And there was no occult podcast out there that really did the casual conversation thing
Right.
and would go off the rails like that or into the absurd and often comical. I thought like, well, that sounds like fun and it sounds like it should exist. Some people should have a place to come and bitch when they have a falling out with their, order or publisher or husband or wife for all I care. Like, let's just talk, especially since it's a baby of the pandemic and the lockdown. So it's like that's the spirit in which it began and took off. Um, and yeah, and like I can't help but to remind those haters, the episodes where I get drunk or I'm on mushrooms get 3 times as many listens than all the others.
I bet.
Yeah, outside of like the really popular episodes like Damien Eccles, of course, or anything with black magic or Satanism. People for some reason are all about that Satanism these days.
Yeah, that's so weird. And the weird thing about it is I just wrote a screenplay from a vision I had a couple weeks ago. There was a whole different take on the whole fall. And I don't know. It's gonna get produced somehow, whether it's just gonna be in a comic version or maybe I'll branch off and learn animation and I'll do it animated. It's probably about 50 minutes, but it's got a very interesting take on the whole fall. And it just came to me out of my last meditation before bed, and I was so tired, dude, so tired. I didn't think I was going to do the meditation, but I did the meditation, even though I knew it was probably going to be a bad meditation. I did it anyway because magic compounds, and it just so happened that after my It was not a bad meditation, but it wasn't the greatest. I was just there and boom, I had a vision. And this vision, I mean, it was a $5 vision, let me tell you. This is good stuff. And
Well, I tell you
and it,
what,
I'll tell you, I actually will tell you. It was about it, it showed it like I was watching a movie almost, and I could hear the dialogue. That was the most uh the sense my auditory was engaged the most during that vision because I heard the dialogue so plainly, even though the movie scene was going fast. I mean, it was like 48 minutes and like, I don't know, 90 seconds. And I got out of that and I was so just full of the energy of that vision that I wrote it down. And 4 hours later, even though I was tired of shit, I finished in I wrote it all down from start to finish in 4 hours, and I went to bed. And then I got up and I looked it over, and I had a friend over and I let them see it, and they say, "Hey, that's pretty good. You should do that. That's one of your comics," because I'm doing a comic right now. And I said, "Yeah, maybe I'll do that, or maybe I'll do animation." And they reminded me I have a friend he's a producer. And I'm just like, "Oh, that's right." And so I talked to him. We hadn't talked in a while, and he was like, "Going, dude, right now it's the golden age for content creators. If you got a story, write it down because somebody will buy it because there's so many platforms out there and they need content. People are always bitching all the time. There's nothing new on any of the streaming services. Everything's the same. Everything's the same. You know why? Because you're not writing anything for them. That's why you need to start. You want to watch something different, write something different, and submit it to some people, and you have a good chance of making it happen these days.
yeah, I suppose, that it's, I mean, I don't know if that's true. Like when my library got stolen, a lot of my writing did too, finished novels
Mhm.
and stuff. But I have a lot of incomplete drafts of things that are like, just not the final stage of it.
Is it too
But
intricate?
no, they could be turned into they could easily be presented as what's it called, treatments. Um,
Okay.
'cause I don't really know if I'll ever do anything with them again. I might go back to novel writing again when I'm older, like, my golden years, fingers crossed. But because I love writing fiction, and all the novels I've ever written were just written for me because there was a story that I was struck with and it didn't exist. So I would write it and I would enjoy the shit out of it. And usually my process would be like work for 2 weeks, you know, and straight, like sleep right straight and get like the first couple hundred pages out loosely, and then sort of figure out how to move that around to create the ending I wanted. So it's not the usual process, I'm aware.
Even that process to me is very similar aspects to channeling. You know what I mean? Especially when you're
Well,
in the zone for
you
that
can't
long.
question your process is one fucking truth about writing. Like, however you do it, like last year I wrote almost 40,000 words of my Enochian book that's going to be great. And the deeper I get into the like, it has to be on something that has on a part of it that hasn't been covered before, right? Which
Right.
fortunately a lot of people have covered the basics and stuff, so I can focus on a weird part of it, like
Right.
where a weird little thing, my own little thing. And it's going to be written for like the devout Christian perspective,
Oh, nice. I
specifically to
like
that.
that.
Oh yeah, right. Like John Dee got ordained a priest. I've been ordained a priest many times and done the seminary thing, which even he didn't do because he was just getting ordained for different reasons, perhaps, but maybe not. That's a bigger debate to get into. Dee's religious faith. That would be a thesis. That would be a PhD right there. I always thought it'd be great to write a doctorate on the mystical theology of John Dee. It would be a study in apocalyptic eschatology,
Right.
of course, but could be fun if you were able to get access to the resource if you wanted to live in London and go through those manuscripts.
See,
But
but
my
you know what?
Latin
You don't
dog
have to.
couldn't do that.
You don't have to live in London anymore. That was Paul's secret. All libraries have all their manuscripts online now, and all you have to do is have the patience to go online and look through all them. And dude, we have the Harry Ransom Center here, and when I was a up and coming magician, we used to go to the Ransom Center a lot because they have a collection of 1800 manuscripts. So if you had a manuscript in 1800, they get sent to the Harry Ransom Center, and that's how the Crowley stuff ended up over here.
Yeah, you got the Crowley stuff at U of T.
Yes. And so, but that's not all. If you just start looking around the manuscripts that were collected or gathered at that time, you find that there's a lot of them that kind of do go together. Because those collections, they had letters from other people, and that's where you find the real gems. And that's what Paul did. He scoured every French library that ever had anything to do with Martinism. And then he was expanded out into the Spanish ones. And the boy had a nose for Martinism, that's for sure.
I'll always regret when I was stuck in Toulouse for a week again back in 2019, that during that time, that pilgrimage, that I never asked him where I should visit, because I didn't know if there was much occultism in Toulouse. And now I'm like, holy shit, you missed a lot. But of course I was trying to sort out some travel plans, so I didn't have a chance to. But damn, like that place was a huge Martinist hub, and I can only imagine the things I would have seen had it occurred to me to ask him, but it didn't. Fuck, man. But I do have to go back. I have to go back to Paris and those beautiful spots in France, because I was there for, as well, my bank account was hacked like mid-flight. I'm transitioning between flights, and in that time I couldn't access anything, so that was weird. That was a weird one. What were we talking about? We were talking about
everything.
Yeah, everything, and the plethora of magical options, and so yeah, that's why I think are definitely why spirits, whoever they were, had our order formed back. I guess it was late 80s when it was formed.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So I came in 86. No, 96.
No, 96.
I came in 96.
Yeah, so like, yeah, late 80s, early 90s.
I'll tell you what though, the Mother Temple was always top notch.
Yeah, that we did it right. Like, in my opinion, that's the thing. Like, whether you think we did it right or not, we did it well. We did it very, very well.
Yeah.
And no one there wasn't doing their best to make it the best.
I mean, I think
people they don't believe it when I give them the details.
It's weird because the people who harp so much about, like lineage and did you get it the right way? It doesn't matter if you're getting it. And if I'm getting it and you're getting it, we can compare what it is, and we can come to some kind of consensus. And then maybe we can get some actual learning going on. But all too often, those who say it matters so much, they haven't done the work and they're not getting the contacts. And so they don't have nothing to offer in that arena. And which is a shame, because that's the whole point of doing it, I think.
Which is why all the leaders of our tradition, from Pat Zaleski to Nick Farrell and what is the other guy? Well, Cicero, and the Ciceros and Tony Fuller, like all of these people, I'm forgetting someone, but all these people, when in all their books, they all point out, they all say, like, and I've seen them write online, like, if you want to really do the Golden Dawn thing, like, yeah, if you can join a good group, fine, good. But otherwise, it's probably better to just do your own thing, gather the people around you who want to do it, and really work it, and it'll work.
If you work it, the current will come to you.
It will come.
It will. That's for sure.
Sam Robinson's book is really good in explaining that. As strangely written as it is, Sam Robinson's, what's it called, the Golden Rosicrucian tradition of the Golden Dawn.
Right.
It's on Lulu, and the writing style might put some people off, but like, fucking ignore that. He's Zaleski's protege. He was Zaleski's original protege before he was usurped by he who shall not be named. And he's like, the things he says, the way he talks about working with the angel of the order, and the necessary passion, enthusiasm, love, and joy that you have to bring to the work, like the aspect of the holy. I mean, that's something Fuller's constantly talking about. It's just like so important. And all of us who were in a good order know that because it's all around you. It might not say that in our diary notes and like the sense of holiness and sacrality and in the calm demeanors and inner focus without, amongst all the members. We don't write that in the diary because we felt it. It was so obvious. It was like a fish describing water.
I
But
don't know.
that,
I write that down a lot.
well,
Mine's,
we all
mine,
had our.
mine have a sense of pageantry.
You're a fucking Pisces. That's why.
Yeah.
I'm an Aquarius. I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, done.
Oh
Step by
no,
step.
mine's always so wow. Each
No, I
one is better.
theorize on what my things could mean.
Each one are better than the next. It's just like, wow, I can't believe that. That was amazing. Let's do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, people, I'm glad, and a lot of people know that now and have started, like I've talked to so many people who were part of groups we never knew existed. And they were small groups, they existed for a while and they did their thing. And like I think Damian Murphy in Seattle, I think he trained with Chris Monastre
Oh,
and a little bit with Jennings, and then he went off and did his own thing. He's a really great novelist and fiction writer. Damian Murphy is. If you haven't listened to that podcast, it's an interesting one. So him and his group kept doing the neophyte initiation in Seattle for people. No robes or tools, really. I think very much just like they thought it was important that anyone who wanted to went through that neophyte initiation. I thought
wow.
that's something that, and I don't think it's a bad something at all. It's a thing, and it's not a bad thing.
Should I ever share with you my 00 that I did with Rush lyrics?
Oh yeah, I was looking at that today actually. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I was
You like
actually
that?
I thought of sending it to my students and I was like, I should ask you first. So
Did you like it?
it's great. Dude, like I love musicals and even creating musicals and that whole process. So to see the neophyte initiation turn into a kind of musical set to Rush,
Dude,
like Go
I only
Canada.
had to change one word in that whole song. I only changed one word.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the word?
Everything else is straight from the lyric.
What was the word?
Instead of this, I changed the rising to a descending because I did it for the circumambulation. There's a verse in there that I use for the circumambulation. So the first time, I don't know, when it's clockwise, it's correct. But when we do the counterclockwise one at the end, I have to change that one word. And that's it. Everything else is straight
You
from the
know,
musicians.
they'd likely never get it, but you should send that to them just in case they do get it, because of course we know for a fact they would love it.
I'm gonna put it in a book, and I'm gonna. I don't know. I asked.
Getty Lee would get a kick out of that.
I think he really would.
Yeah, of course. They know
Yeah, he's
all
got to
about
know
the
what.
Golden
I think he
Dawn.
knows what the 00 is. Wouldn't you think?
They know occultism
That's what I'm
well.
thinking.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna publish it. I just can't make any money off of it because I don't have the copyright.
That's
So,
great. That's
so
great.
that means I have to give it away.
Well, the cool thing would be to turn it into some kind of awesome sonic multimedia music video or something like
Dude,
that.
I would do that initiation every weekend for the rest of my life as in the neophyte to whoever wanted it.
I could give it to a buddy of mine and see if he comes up with anything.
I mean, all I have to do is film the parts, and then find the officers, and go do it. We'll do it every Sunday, except for football Sundays. Yeah, we can do
You
it on football
you
Sundays
into
too. Screw it.
football? You into football?
Yeah, sometimes. I don't know. I haven't really watched
In
it a lot.
American football, man, it's like so silly. The field is so small. Like it's just
Is it small?
constant
Is it tiny?
touchdowns.
Is it
When
tiny,
we score a
tiny field?
touchdown, it's like, holy shit, someone actually scored. It's more like soccer.
How come if it's the field is smaller, how come it doesn't it should take them a shorter amount of time to score?
No, our field's larger, way larger than yours.
Yes, your field
Yeah.
is. You've got Canadian football.
In Canadian, I love Canadian football. Yeah. That's what,
Yeah.
sort of
It's all right.
my
They should play it
thing.
in the summertime though. That way it doesn't conflict with football.
It's not popular enough for summer. No, they play it in the summer. It happens all summer. I think it starts in the fall. It starts in the fall. Anyway,
Yes.
I've been in years. But yeah, it's always exciting. our team always comes back at the very end. Like half the stadium leaves because they're like, these guys have fucking lost again. And then in the last 5 minutes, we get like a touchdown over a turnover and a field goal. And every time I've gone, it's been exactly that kind of game. And I guess I'm just lucky, but it's been very exciting. Yeah.
Those are good games you want to be at, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I saw 2 hockey games in my life as a kid. My dad took me to see Penguins play because I loved Lemieux, and he took me to see the Kings play because I loved Gretzky as well, of course. And in both games, Gretzky and Lemieux each got their asses kicked out in the first or second period for complaining too much.
Wow.
And I was like so hard traumatized by it. And my dad's like, they're the best, but they're kind of whiny. I was I don't know. God, what a memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there does need to be more options for people to go through Golden Dawn initiations, especially like the 5-6 initiation, because Sodalitas doesn't do the traditional 5-6 initiation. But you went through a traditional one, didn't you?
I did. Yes.
Yeah.
I've been through both of them actually.
Yeah. Well, of course. Yeah.
And I don't know. They each get the job done, but I am glad I got to experience the traditional one. Because to me that the gnosis that came with that, and then from sitting in the tomb, they'll put you in the tomb to meditate. And that was quite an experience for me. I really felt what I was there to do, that's for sure. My heart enlarged like 2 different sizes. Those were good times.
Yeah. I mean, so, definitely
I mean, a
the
good
most
initiation
important
like that
initiation
puts
for
you
me.
right in the harmonious frequency of God. Man, that's a high that lasts 2 weeks, maybe 3.
Well, the Assyrian current, when you work it, brings overflowing abundance, to good and bad parts of your spirit and life.
It is.
Like
I
the
think there's enough
abundance of
shadow work in
energy.
there to kind of get you over the hump.
Like, there's no mystery when you see people who've gone through those ceremonies being highly productive the rest of their lives and giving a lot to others. Like these are the
And to me,
things.
that's how I knew it was working.
Yeah.
You could see it. I remember you when you came in as a neophyte. Oh yeah, yeah, I never thought you'd make it. Look at you now. Stuff like that. You know what I mean?
You
I
thought
mean,
I'd make it though the first week you met
oh,
me.
I
You
knew
did.
you'd make it. You
It's
were a
it's
prodigy, dude.
it's
You were a
funny.
prodigy. I was amazed by you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a good time. It was definitely the time of my life. You know, that's one of the problems with my experience is, how we mock and deride people who peaked in high school.
Right.
Well, I peaked in high school, but it had nothing to do with high school. Because the best experience of my life, obviously, the journey is the best part. So the journey going through the grades and
Right.
going through the temple experience of getting to see a temple form, get its legs under it, become very large and very effective and very beautiful, and then the whole battle to survival in the in the culture, I guess you could call it. Things got rough. Things got rough in the culture back then,
Oh
and
yeah.
that was just, yeah, that was such a remarkable experience. That was why that's why I peaked in high school, because that was my Hogwarts, man, and it was worth it, and it was yeah, very beautiful thing. So I hope more people get to have that experience. I noticed Frater Yeshi's got like his franchise opened up now in Ireland. Um, say franchise with love, you guys. I say it with love. I reached out and said I wish them well and wish them all the best, because that's great. Keep it
Yeah.
going. They're doing the original initiations as well, whatever that means. Well, we know exactly what that means, but
Right.
it's don't no judgment on those who are doing the Regardi initiations, or even the AO Mathers only one circumambulation group initiations, where you know, that are massively cut down. But hey,
That's a heresy.
it is what it is. I mean, a lot of, I mean, Mathers and those guys didn't even go through the initiations when they were initiating others.
I
And
know.
there's leaders of these major Golden Dawn orders today who still have never been through any of the initiations.
No,
Yeah, tell you
no.
later.
Oh no, I don't believe that. I mean, if you're an officer in the initiation, you've given yourself the initiation.
Well, that's actually that's why that's the learning lesson from it. That's the story, right? One thing I was talking to a buddy about, I was talking to a buddy in Scotland, and he pointed out, consider that it's not how the fact that you've gone through the initiations in any order or any temple, but how many times you've been through, you've seen them and been at them and part of them because you're participating. I'm like, oh right, that really is the truth, isn't it? And he's like, yeah. I'm like,
I mean, I shudder to think how many. I know Paul had it written down. I might find it, but he had every ritual that he'd ever done written down in a notebook. And
see, that's why we got along, man. Man after my own heart. Like if it's not in your, if it's not in your ritual diary, it didn't happen.
well, his ritual diary spanned back the years. Granted, he was about 4 or 5 years into it when he realized, oh my gosh, I need a comprehensive diary. And so he went through all his back diaries and he found out and he put it in the new diary. So got it pretty much from start to finish.
I will clarify for people because I don't want to mislead anyone. What I said was tongue in cheek, and most of many of my best rituals and experiences are not written in any diaries, unfortunately.
That is unfortunate.
Well,
But
you know,
you do rituals in an impromptu all the time. You know what I
but
mean?
also like if you're running a temple and and you're also prepping for a Z formula ritual or a Solomonic ritual or an Enochian ritual, you're prepping for that while running a 120 person temple that's 24/7 active. And after all that, you might not have time to write out the 30 pages of notes it would take to describe everything you experienced because it's 1 a.m. You did the ritual finally on your one night of the week where you can do your own work and not have to teach or do group other stuff. And you got to get up at 4 a.m. for class. So you're going to sleep. And that's just, so a lot of, I have my adept diaries, but yeah, like some of the stuff is just not in there. And then again, magic in everyday life. It's not like, your whole life becomes magical after 5, 6. Like
Yeah,
everything is is
it can
is
happen
just
before then.
like
It can happen
definitely
during
can
portal
happen.
too.
Just meditate twice a day.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think I might start an order. We're just going to meditate twice a day. Then we'll put our students up in like a tournament of, a wizard tournament. What do you think? We could have a wizard tournament?
Yeah, what would that look like?
I don't know. It would look like my students who just meditate twice a day. They would
As long
come
as
in
we
and
get to wear wizard
they would,
hats.
they would sit down and they would start meditating, and then whatever it is your students do.
You could have them demonstrate how high they can levitate over cushions and bounce along in a row like they're flying.
No, because they'd never be able to do that because when they come up to me and they would tell me what they could do, I would say, that's nice, but focus on the dot. Go back and focus on the dot. So yeah, we don't develop those auxiliary skills till later.
Well, that's what the yogic flyers in Maharishi's Transcendental Meditation are doing, right? Is they're doing the Kundalini exercises, and then the Kundalini explodes out the sacral chakra, and that's the energy they're using to bounce so high in the air.
You
And
don't really have to get it to explode, but if you the key is the charge you apply to your cerebral spinal fluid. I'm convinced of that.
hey, tell us more.
Your cerebral spinal fluid, it's the fluid that wraps around your spine. Obviously, it flows around your spine, and it will also flow up into your brain areas as well. And if you get that charged correctly, I mean that's the circuit, from your sacral chakra all the way up to your crown. And the electricity somehow I think it just builds, you build that electricity and that spark. That's, I don't know, that's what it seemed like to me, because it just seemed like it was kind of like chilling there. And I wasn't really pushing it up or down, I was just kind of building it, building it, building it. I just spent a lot of time just building the thing. I didn't try to move it or push it or anything like that. And then one day that sucker just ignited. And when it did, it went wherever it wanted to. And I didn't have any say so in the matter. And so I didn't know then about all I needed to do was meditate, because if I did, I would have accomplished it a lot sooner in my life, probably. But sometimes I'm kind of stubborn when I'm taking my own advice.
Yeah, aren't we all? Hmm.
Yeah, I guess we
So
are.
yeah, you're already an adept in the Sidalitas Rosea Crucis and in the Martinist order, OMS.
Yes.
And
And I did
not a
the
Mason though. They didn't
what?
get you. No Masonry for you.
No, and I joined Masonry and I just got my entered apprentice. And I was, you know, I did it for Paul because Paul told me, hey, I'm having all these classes in the lodge, and they're like on the Kabbalah or psychic self-defense or a bunch of the knowledge lecture stuff. And he's like, well, I need help. Will you help me? And I said, well, yeah, Paul, if you're asking me to help you, I will. I don't really want to, but I will because you're asking me to. And I know you need the help or you wouldn't ask me. So when I got my EA and I was studying it and I was learning because you have to learn the whole ritual ear to mouth. You can't write it down. You just have to memorize it. So you have to go and listen to them, and then you can say it after them. Or there's different people who tell the story. They have you do it differently, but it doesn't matter as long as you learn it. And 2 weeks after my initiation, uh, Paul was doing a lecture, and he was doing it at one of the main lodges there in the city. And the next day, the Grand Lodge from the state said, "No more. Don't be doing that anymore. It's too close to the fringe." And so once that edict came down, I didn't care about masonry anymore. So I just let my dues lapse.
Yeah. Yeah, I just did the EA as well. Um, yeah.
Just to say you did
Well,
it.
well, no, I thought it would be different, but
Yeah. Thought it would be cool.
toasting the Queen of England and all that was not my steez.
Yeah, that's not for me
I
either.
should have joined an Irish lodge. I found out later, but it was, too late. And I tried to join this other lodge that my friends are at here and that people I like, but they said I'd have to get reinstated and finish at my old lodge, which is now like moved to an hour out of town instead of at the luxurious skyscraper they own just a few blocks away. So it's
You know,
like,
slowly but surely, I'm going to reignite. Going like back. For the thistle. I think the thistle we've gotten too soft in the thistle. They're like all like they were very friendly with the queen, and I don't know. I represent the new faction of the thistle that doesn't like that.
is this is what the order of
The thistle.
the
Yeah, they're
thistle?
like the Scottish Knights.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like the order of the garter or something.
Yes, those are the two famous ones.
So yeah, you got the thistle.
Yeah, well, I was at the right place at the right time for that one.
I still have a purple thistle in one of my books over there,
Nice.
that I got from the hilltop overlooking Edinburgh.
Oh yeah,
Right before I tried to slide down it to make better time through stinging nettles while my friends stood up above laughing.
I believe it.
It was a beautiful, beautiful sight. This the brown city of Edinburgh below this green and rugged russet hill to hill. Scotland's gorgeous, man. I could end up there.
Yeah, I
That
meant
could
to
be
go the year of COVID. We were going back to Europe, and I was gonna see like 4 or 5 different countries, and that was definitely on one of the stops. But then COVID shut that down. Stole my memory.
Yeah, I mean, we're still shut down essentially. We can't I can't visit you, but as soon as President Sleepy Pants raises the restrictions, I'm going to get on a flight and to come visit you. Visit Austin, Texas finally. You got
Oh,
to take me to
finally.
Kill Tony, man. I want to go to Kill Tony.
Okay. Kill
Yeah,
Tony.
and eat barbecue.
Okay. Oh, dude, trust me, there'll be plenty of barbecue. That was one thing
Yeah.
Paul would always do for if you were a first time Texan, first visiting the state, he would always take you to Lockhart, where we have 3 barbecue places in a very small town. I mean, Lockhart is very small, maybe not even 100,000 people. Oh, definitely not 100,000 people. But it's small, and they have 3 barbecue places that their pits are over 100 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, I know it's nothing like Europe, where Europe they have things that are 1,000 years old, but we're not that old. And in Texas, 200 years, that's a good stretch. I mean, 100 years, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because with a
Yeah.
barbecue pit, it's all about I don't know, that crap that's in there, the soot or I guess I don't know what it is. It's just black stuff that makes barbecue taste better.
I can't wait. Can't wait. Yeah, no, hopefully the restrictions and the unvaxxed, unclean, dirty you know, cretins will be allowed to flood into your country from abroad. It's crazy to think that this for 3 years now, America's not allowed any unvaxxed people in. Um,
That's bullshit.
well, I mean, not
Dude,
in
people walking across
legally.
the border every day. None of them are vaccinated. What are you talking
I
about?
wasn't talking about the border situation. I was talking about people flying in from Europe and Canada and other places.
Oh yeah, the people who follow
Yeah,
rules. Okay, yeah.
yeah,
If you follow
yeah.
rules, yes, you can't come to America unless
I'm
you're
not talking
vaccinated.
about the foreign intelligent agents coming through the South.
Yeah, but if you want your state, just screw it, man. Hey, well, I don't know.
I'm super pro immigration, especially for Canada, where we have no people at all. There's like no one
Right,
here.
y'all need
Fucking
people.
so lame. There's no
We should.
subcultures. There's no Ren fairs. There's no nothing. It's like no one's here. The music scene's been killed since the Olympics. And it's like, it's just struggling. And like on top of all of that, you have the fact that you guys got all these people coming in through the southern. So we're letting people in. We are letting in like 500,000 people a year, but the government is doing this weird shit where they're only allowing 200,000 houses to be built a year and they're not building more. So it's causing this mass homeless problem across the country, but every single city in the country is too cold to survive winter except here outside.
Really?
So yeah, so if you go homeless somewhere in Canada, they give you a one-way bus ticket to Vancouver and some shoes, basically, and you come here and join the tent cities, and it's insane now. And they're not building enough homes, and so people are losing it's crazy. Like they're forcibly causing mass homelessness, bringing in tons of immigrants, and not even giving them the option of having a home. It's not even an option.
Because the
So
homes
why
aren't
would
being built.
it makes no sense. Like this is why Trudeau's a fucking clown because
Well,
he's
wouldn't you? Doesn't it stand to reason as many immigrants as you bring in, you have to build at least that many houses?
no one can figure it out. Everyone's talking about it, and no one can figure out like what's the end game here because the problem is obvious. It's basic math, 2 + 2 = 5. We all know this,
Oh my God.
and we all trust our faithful and righteous leader. He is the good and noble leader, and yeah, we would never speak out
Wow.
again. Yeah. Yeah, well, we never had free speech, but like having a leader who imprisons their political opponents and bans them from speaking is tricky, and that's what we're dealing with. Like, you need opposition parties for this whole charade to work.
You do.
Opposition, because that's the whole way it works, right? Back and forth,
Yeah.
right?
Or not only
And then
that.
you
I
got
mean,
like,
that's when you really can come. I mean, if both sides are being honest, that's when you can come to some really valuable consensus.
yeah, good things can happen, and they are happening all the time. Good
The
things are
problem
happening
is,
every day.
too many times the losing team does is all butt hurt and they don't want to play with the winning team. And so whatever team's in power at that time, it's all their ideas without any counter ideas to make the idea stronger. Like the left and the liberals, they have a lot of great ideas, but a lot of times they don't foresee the consequences of how's this going to affect us 3 or 4 years down the road. What's it going to be like then? And because they never think of that, the problems that they create become, I mean, it's just way too much than if they just would have left it alone to begin with. I don't know. That's what it seems to me anyway.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough times. Like, yeah, we got huge, food. Fortunately, we grow up a lot of food. So between us and you feed us in the winter and we feed you in the summer. I don't know if you know that, but that's sort of
I did not know that. I thought Mexico fed us all the time.
well, Mexico definitely
Mm,
does what Mexico does.
yeah,
Does a lot of things. Um, but yeah, that's how it works. Though right now in Canada, the problem is our farmers and like dairy farmers are complaining because they're being forced to destroy all their food. They're being ordered to destroy all their food because
I saw
they
that.
they want the inflation to keep going up, and they're just pretending like we don't have food and resources, so that our everything's gone sky high. It's absolutely insane, right? You know, yeah, it's
Yeah, dude. Every time I go to the store, it's crazy. And I'm not trying trying not to be that guy who says, "See, I'm telling you, I've been telling you for months, I've been telling you for years, I've been telling you for decades on some of this stuff," because that's just, I mean, just deal with it and know that I think we won. I think we were talking about this maybe it was earlier or the other day. I think it's pretty much over. We won.
well, I think it's going in a good direction. The courts here just knocked down Trudeau's biggest restriction on the whole firearm debate. Like,
Oh,
so
good.
Trudeau tried to push something through and the courts struck it down. They're like, you can't take away people's, he tried to take away the hunting rifles of farmers and hunters. Like basic old school, like super, like these things, it's a miracle that they can kill anything, honestly. If you Americans saw what we're hunting with, like you would be like, that's not a gun. It's like when I would show my fiddler, my
Yeah,
fiddle that I play on, that I've been playing on since I was a kid, because I do like practicing the fiddle. I'd be like, here, show me on my pit. I would show him, I'd have my fiddle. He'd be like, it's not a fiddle. That's firewood. That's kindling. I'm like, dude, this cost me hundreds of dollars. He's like, this costs $20,000. There's the low grade ones really like, under a grand, a fiddle is kindling. So there's levels to this stuff. And like, yeah, the weirdness going on with the food and the false supplies, and it's really, really unnerving. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around a bit.
that's all right. I think I'm getting a little tired myself.
Yeah. Anyway,
But I've just as a reminder, as soon as I find out about the official time and the link to follow Paul's memorial, I'll make sure to get that to you.
thank you. Yeah, we'll let anyone know about that who wants to know
Yeah, of
about.
course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul, as well loved as he was and as many things as he did, he always loved everyone back. And he had a huge freaking heart. And I mean, with all the things he did, he was still the type of guy who, if one of your fratters or sores or were in the hospital, he would find a way to go see him. Always. I mean, that's the type of guy he was. All the stuff he did, and he still make time to go do that.
God bless him, man. God rest
No
his soul.
shit. And that's another thing too. It's like, rest in peace. That wasn't really Paul's gig. I don't think he'd want that at all. I think he'd think that would be hell.
You think his soul's on some psychedelic journey through the hyperspace
No,
realms?
but I think wherever he's at, he's definitely hiking. He's making a trip. He's like, hey, what is there around here to see? He always wanted to know, what is there around here? What can we do after we eat? It's like, I thought we were going to go to the room and kind of like sleep a little bit. You know what I mean? He's like, no, 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 we're in a new place. Let's go do something. Let's see what they got to offer. It's like, dude, okay, I will.
Yeah. I swear we'll never get to do anything together like that. Hey, so generally I've been telling people it's like not my place to say. But a lot of people I've been flooded by messages of people asking what I know
Yeah.
about what happened. What should the world know? What can the world know?
You
Because
know,
some people don't know anything. They can't. They're worried and they're scared and they.
well, they shouldn't be worried or scared. It was definitely an accident. I mean, it's just Paul worked so much and he did so many things that when he had a small window where he could just relax, he would relax to the extreme. You know what I mean? Even his relaxation was just like something to do every minute. And and he knew when he only had a small window, he had to make the most of it. And sometimes that led to a little excess. But we're all like that in some way.
Why, sir, I do not know what you mean.
Oh, I'll show you the next time I see you.
Um, that's a deal. Yeah, let's do some aether working Enochian magic
No,
to
I want to. I'm going to
influence the
show you
political
what I did. Remember when I?
influence the politics to let us dirty unvaxxed back into the US just for a visit.
Right, and,
Just for a
and
short one.
no, the Enochian we'll do that. The Mayan Enochian that I came up with. Remember?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think you'd get it. I
Mayan?
think you'd like that.
Mayan Enochian.
Yes,
What's Mayan Enochian?
it's that when I was doing my Enochian, when I was scrying through doing my Enochian work, and I came up with the correlations between the Enochian, a lot of the Enochian and the Mayan calendar, the Zolkin. There's a lot of easy to see correspondences if you just assign some of the entities. So yeah, I have a whole metaverse of that.
Do you have a
Hasn't been
paper on that?
explored. Huh?
Would you
Did I
write
write a
about
paper on it? No, but I have it in my journals. I could write a paper on it.
that? That'd be groovy.
I need to work it a little bit more, I think.
What an observation.
But
It's a very cool, interesting observation.
oh yeah.
I just finished the last few minutes of Dr. Al Cummings. He's a historian who just put out Nazareth, the book of Enochian prayers he wrote with the angels, using the calls to create prayers for geomantic work. And he's
Oh
a
nice.
doctor of history and a very cool
He
sorcerer
works geomancy still.
who specializes in geomancy. Dude, it's come back in a big way. Johannes
Really?
Faust has did a major Kickstarter and really is doing a ton of work. Nick Farrell, of course, has his book and his whole group focused on geomancy. And yeah, and Dr. Al Cummins is really he's like between him and Faustus, Johannes, I'm actually keen to try it again someday, whereas it was really not my cup of tea. I love the fact that we had to learn it, memorize it, and take tests on it, because I love being forced to learn things I'm not interested in and take tests on them. I think that's a healthy experience. And but now I'm actually excited to create a little geomantic divination box, and some people are using the dice a lot again, but and making beautiful versions of them. It's
You know,
like
this
you
is
said,
what
it's a revolution. Everythgno's coming back, man. It's
this is
taster's
this is
choice
the
time,
gnosis that I came
choose
to
your own adventure.
regarding divination. There's so many different ways to divine. I mean, almost as many as there are blades of grass under the sun, it seems. And the reason that is because when you're divining, you're just getting in touch with your intuition. You know what I mean? And
Of
I
course.
think all divination systems and tools are just what you need in order to make to where you develop a relationship with your intuition. And then once you do that, you don't really need the tools anymore. They're great to have, and maybe you can become an X-Men if you pick the right one. But other than that, I think you just can just go by your intuition from then on. I have people ask me all the time, "You do a reading for me?" I said, I haven't done readings in forever, but I can look at you and tell you right now what you want to hear. But a lot of times that doesn't have the same kick for people. I don't know why.
To each their own.
I
I mean,
guess
pure psychism
the
is a
smart ones
thing.
come back
It's a
because they
funny
said, "You know
thing.
what? You said that, and it worked out just like you said." And I was like, "Well, at least you paid attention."
And also, if you have a strong enough relationship with your guides or holy guardian angel or higher self, then Yeah, you don't need the mediation tools so much anymore. I think tools are still great for working with spirits because spirits respond, I think, very well to the colors. Like we know, like Steiner and the Golden Dawn both contended that colors in tools and stuff they don't represent forces. They actually are forces. So they seem like they represent a thing to us visually, but in the astral, in the spirit world, they don't represent a color. They're not a color representing a force. They are a force.
Right.
And I think that, and I've noticed how colors and geometric shapes on my altar and in my circle have massively influenced the way spirits interact and are invoked. It's been one of the biggest revelations of the past 5 years for me is experimenting with different things and especially keeping the earth pentacle uncovered. I used to always cover it when doing spirit work because of the rumor that it would ground out all the spirit forces, but I found it actually summons them better than ever. And they all say the same thing because they like the shapes and colors.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So even to the extent that if I have it open on the altar, I see the spirits moving down towards it instead of the crystal, or if I'm using a mirror.
Uh-huh.
So I have to like actually pick one. And I haven't tried working with scrying using my earth pentacle, but I might at some point just put a crystal on and be like, what if the earth pentacle therefore is grounding the current and the spirit from the Yetziratic realm through the Asaic and the five senses? So I'm curious. This
Yeah.
is the first time I've talked about this. I haven't written a paper on it yet. It's definitely going to be in one of my upcoming books and courses that's written. But yeah, we'll see, man. I like experimenting with this stuff. That's one thing I love about Nick Farrell is that he's not afraid to experiment and forge his own path. Um, so there's a lot of exciting stuff going on in magic right now, and it's fun to be a part of it.
Yes, like we said earlier, it's the golden age in a lot of different, not just in the orders you can pick, but the amount of magic you can do, and just the amount of people that are interested, that seem to be on the same page. I don't know. It's a great time to be alive, I think.
Yeah. Would have been
But I
cool to
tell you
be
what, I think I'm getting pretty tired though.
yeah, we
So
gotta thanks for coming on the podcast
hey,
and
no
doing
problem.
the
I
in
come on every time,
memoriam.
and
We,
I'll come on again if I hear something about that screenplay, we can come on and talk about that. And
yeah,
then when I finish my book, obviously we can do that as well.
we almost hit the 3 hour mark, which is fine. It's like how it's actually we took some breaks. So anyway, but
Yeah.
that doesn't matter. What I want to say is we did try to do this last Thursday. So thank you to my patrons who have been patient on patreon.com/hermetic podcast. Because I haven't gotten you something in like 10 days, 20 days now. We tried to do it last Thursday, but literally there was no way. It would have just been all fucking weeping, literally just too much tears. So thank you, Jeff, for allowing me to reschedule because I would
Hey,
have,
no problem.
when I thought about whether I could do it that day, I started crying. So like, that's not a good start. That's not
Yeah.
a good start. So yeah, this way we got through it without any of the stuff that probably wouldn't translate to audio only podcast and not necessarily translate to in the best way on YouTube. I mean, hey, um, you know,
We'll see. I don't know. I'll be on your show anytime, brother. I love you.
yeah,
I mean,
man.
you're one of like the oldest magical friends that I have. Our relationship spans a number of years. I mean, it's like almost 25, 26 years now, isn't it? It's a long time.
We met August 97, Lunasa.
97.
We met on Lunasa 97.
Oh wow. So it's
Yeah.
26.
Yeah, we went to the Bodhi tree.
Yeah,
All
we
you
did.
Texans adopted me, which is why I have so many friends in all over Texas. And now, coincidentally, a few, and the largest number of my students, I think, are from Texas, just by chance. I mean, we got people from all over, but like,
It's
there's
not
a
by
little,
chance, sir.
there's a
It's
little
not by
Texan
chance.
brigade.
It's
Yeah, well,
because
you met one
Texas
of them.
is awesome.
You met Ryan.
Yep. You know, I think Austin had like all four of the major Golden Dawn groups at one time. I'm
It
almost
did.
positive.
Yeah, back in
Yeah.
your Soma days when you had the
Yeah.
Society of Magical Artists.
And then we had a lot of other Golden Dawn-esque groups as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, it's something about
you
something
funded
about the Austin
conferences.
area, man. It's the crystal that's in the limestone around there. It's very conductive to spiritualness.
I believe it. Yeah. Yeah, you funded conferences and all kinds of things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the
I
pink
was
gram
very enough to be active in those days.
the pink gravel, what is it? Pink marble from around there. They used it in the Salt Lake City on their big temple.
Yeah, I've been there, I've seen that.
How is it?
It's amazing. Salt Lake City's actually was not a bad day. We were just there. We were there on the way. I was going to a conference in Vegas for work with my work colleagues, and we spent the whole day in Salt Lake City. And yeah, it was pretty cool actually. Beautiful, sort of clean. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I mean, there's so much of America I still want to see. I'm gonna do a at some point do a big road trip down the East Coast and those sort of
The only part of
realms.
America I really haven't seen is straight up the gut. Been out to both coasts, up and all the way up to the top, and but up just need to go up 35. Been to Oklahoma, Kansas. I haven't been north of that. Straight up though, on the sides I have.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've done the West Coast to death. I mean, it's beautiful. You could do it forever, but like, yeah, there's so many things I want to see. I want to see like Savannah, Georgia, New Orleans, of course, my friends in New York and all throughout the East Coast. And of course, yeah, down to Texas. And before I died, I'd love to do all the cheesy alien shit in Roswell just because, I'm a nerd.
That sounds like fun though.
Highway 66. Yeah, no, there's time. There's still time to do that stuff before, the bell tolls.
Dude, the bell's not going to toll for a long freaking time. You know, every year we live, we are
Especially
adding
if we
6 months.
implement better
Every year
firearm
we live, we're
control.
adding 6 months to our lifespan. You know that through science and technology.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the future. The rich oligarchs will rule us. We have a plan for the new future, and the future will be very beautiful, and we will rule you all, and you will own nothing and be happy.
You know what? I've been to a lot of different timelines, and I've never seen that timeline. So I think he's full of shit.
Dude, they are full of shit, and they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose. Fucking
Yeah,
smarter people than them, better people than them, more evil people than them tried this shit 100 years ago, or in the 30s and 40s, and they fucking failed. They fucking
exactly.
lost. They killed a lot of people. They made life hell for millions, for decades, almost a century. But fuck it, they fucking lost. So yeah, no, gotta stay white
I
pill,
agree.
brother. Yeah,
Yeah. All right, brother. I'm out of here.
much love. Thanks for being
Take care.
on Magic Without Fears, and may the soul of our brother Paul Edward Rana rest in peace, and or better said, how would you say it?
Paul, kick some ass up there. That's what he's gonna do too. He's gonna kick some ass up there.
Amen.
All right.